Yeah, I was waiting on this, I see.
Oh, yeah, that's much better. That sun was a lot of.
Let's call the meeting to order, all rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll make a motion to accept the meeting, select board minutes for March 3rd as written. Second. All in favor? I will make a motion to accept the select board executive session minutes from March 9th as written. Second. All in favor? Do you want to take these? That's what he said. Go through all these. I think I may have to say. Was that the second one you were talking
Yes.
about?
I think, might be from last week. I think it might be from
Yeah,
last week.
3-4.
Mhm.
Yeah. I believe so. Here you go, back up. We have no ADA update.
No, we're
Oh.
still in the process of it.
The front door. Joe Egan.
Yeah,
Have you gotten any word back on the front door for the town office, the
I
ADA
have
door?
2 questions for one of the bidders. I should have those answers this week.
Okay.
And I can present it at the next,
Yeah.
next meeting.
Okay.
Next select board meeting, there's two prices on aluminum and glass doors,
Yep.
swing doors. There's one price on a sliding door, and there's one price on a hollow metal door and frame. And then, we got one price for materials, but no installation. So, we think we have the ground covered.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Department heads, Mr. Rain.
So I've completed the monthly reports for Moses, for the Moses snowmobile registrations and dog licenses on Pet Point. The nomination papers for the June 9th town meeting candidate election are available. Several people have come in for them, but there's still time to pick up papers for selectmen, the budget committee, planning board, and the school board.
Great, thank you. Tax collector.
I handed you guys the treasurer's report for this month.
Okay.
This one.
This one's good. Oh, second page. Looking through all.
Thank you.
Treasurer's report. So, revenues. That's March, April, May, June, so almost a quarter. Excise seems a little low for this time of year. Holy shit. 290 to 310 is the average. Or is it 190 to 210? It's probably 190 to 210, so we're rocking that on excise. 238, 609.
If you get the 191, you will pick up on the cent, you give the offer, you get the cent.
So we're that far ahead of the game this year?
But then, from the transfer station way down, this went up, so it kinda, we're in the same spot as we were last year.
Right. Yeah.
So they're average.
Good.
Yep.
Did you close out that TV?
Not yet, didn't know yet.
5, 6. Sweet. Thank you. So we're hanging on good. Anything else?
No.
ACO?
We had one, farm animal complaint, the cat, and we took the sexual harassment training through town, and I took a class online with the state.
Nice, get your training on, huh?
Yeah, they have 8 hours.
Nice.
It's nice they do it online, so you don't have to go nowhere.
Get banged, you can hit the casino.
That was a good trip from where I used to go.
You doing the one down in New Hampshire this year too?
Yeah, I wanna do that one too in Dover.
Yep, Dover.
That was good training.
Fire chief?
I did one agency assist, the slippery roads, I wanna thank Cliff for coming out. On 113, Sanded from Branch Store all the way to, where'd you go, Caroline Drive? Yes. Yep, I had 3 tractor trailers, a bobtail, gas truck, and a box truck off the road. Down by the transfer station, it was so icy. You know, I slid off the road, Cliff went off the road. So I couldn't get the tractor trailers going, so the state wasn't out, so Cliff was out, he was at the store, called, and I had him come say on 113 if anybody says anything, to get them guys going, get them off the road, to get them to grants.
Perfect.
Did 3 medical calls, 2 mutual aid calls to Chatham, New Hampshire for structure fires and a propane leak. Met with Spego Techniques today. Going over the engineering, the architect, getting RFP out. Met with the Forest Service the Tuesday that I wasn't here for the selectmen meeting. All the aircrafts are ready to go, and we're gearing up for forest fire season. It's coming time. And I'm getting the UTV ready to go. I got, take the tracks off, put the wheels on, fill the tanks, and get them ready. I think we're gonna have an early season. They said the same thing.
Yeah.
Attended the sexual harassment training at the town office, so I know how to do that. You have to keep up on it.
This makes perfect.
Attended ice jam awareness training for the county MA. Received the letter and the plate for our SHAPE award. I gave Patty a copy of the letter that we got, and she's got a picture of the plaque with that new date. We're good till 2028 now. But the Department of Labor won't touch it. So if they come to town, y'all in trouble, not me. Had a ladders tested on all the trucks, and they passed. All the trees are down at the lot. We're just waiting for the days to come back and drag them out and chip them. I had 8 members attend the UTV training we did on the 7th up at Matt's thing. We had 8 members drive it with the tracks on. And then we'll do it again with the wheels. And the Before I left tonight, the USDA contacted me and said our grant is in pre-approval. It's come down the pipeline it's a pre-approval, and like I told you, Rick, I gotta get together with you, and we'll have a Zoom meeting or Teams meeting with Nathan, the financial, to go over all the paperwork that's gonna need to be submitted.
Yeah, I'll, Len, if you could reach out to Ron, see if you can set up a meeting for the auditing process. If you could email Dickie, myself,
Yeah.
with you and Ron for that, the USDA auditing portion.
Okay.
When we talked to Ron, geez, it's been a while now, he acted, I'm pretty positive he had spoken about being a third party for the auditing report that the USDA is requesting. I just wanna get that finalized so that they're on.
Rick, we can have that meeting with the USDA, you and me, and anybody on the building committee without Ron, right?
Yeah,
So we
no.
can get that out of the way next week, that would be great,
Yeah, the RHR thing will be
just us.
just us, so
Okay.
that we can, that way RHR knows it's coming and Lynn can get spooled up with
Okay.
Ron on requirement,
Okay,
so that the reporting's done correctly.
okay,
Yeah.
yep, sounds good. We'll be in touch.
Perfect. Health officer?
Thank you. Last Monday of the month, there is a safety committee meeting next door, 4 in the afternoon. 1 week from today, there are pretty much an entire day of classes scheduled with people from Safety Works in regards to mandatory sessions for various job descriptions here within the town. I'm hoping that we're able to have it over yonder there, but I guess that screen will remain here if she needs one, and we'll just go from there, is that okay? I'm a bit hesitant to mention this because I'm making Lynn crazy asking her, but I'm gonna mention it anyway. The new, for us, it would be new policy and procedure that governs water testing for the town buildings. I saw an email, things looked okay with the Board of Selectmen. If that's the case and it's signed off, I'd like to ask further permission. I want to contact the company that we select to do the water testing to, and I've already talked to one of them, come in and do a session, perhaps an hour long, for various town employees, so that we all understand the water testing procedure, number one, and all of those results, number two. The Environmental Protection Agency has stipulated that there's a potential for 90 different contaminants in water. So I would say we probably should select 1 or 2 we want tested for, and otherwise we'll get 14 pages of results, and they'll probably charge us for each one of them, so. But anyway, if that policy and procedure is okay, I'd like permission to give somebody a call and see if I can't get them to come in here and talk to us.
Yeah, I
Did
don't,
you figure out what that second company was offering for what they were
yeah,
testing?
I don't have it in here. There were 2 companies that gave us,
There were 2.
one of
The
them
the
was,
second one scared me because it said if anything changes between now and whenever, that they're gonna probably have to increase their price.
and it didn't list out what they were testing for.
That is
It just said
correct.
it.
It did, yeah.
But I don't have them currently here. I've got the policy that we're gonna vote on tonight. Did you read this with Patty?
I did,
Okay.
Yep.
So, I do not have the,
there were 2, you're right, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and one just said testing.
Yep.
The other one gave a nice list
Yep.
of what they were
Yep.
testing for.
yeah, I don't have them here.
Well, Patty's probably got them, whenever it gets situated, just let me know and I'll make a couple of phone calls.
Okay.
I appreciate it,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mike is on vacation. Public Works.
Yes, we've been waiting on seal for that 2011 International Wow. They came in today, and sending Greg tomorrow to pick them up. We should get that together in a day or two. Weather permitting this weekend, we're gonna break that grader out and start grading some roads. They're getting rough.
Yep.
And I got an inspection next month for Public Works and the transfer station. One of them is housekeeping. I was wondering if we couldn't get a small Connex to put down at Public Works for a lot of stuff that's kind of in the way. We have no place to put. Like our cutting edges.
So this, I'm thoroughly confused by this situation, because the DEP is the outfit that comes and looks at things and says, you're not doing that right, fix it, or you can't give out whatever. This outfit, Maine Municipal, they have a series of educational opportunities that they'll sell us, literally, and the more things that they can check off, the less money we pay them for, what's the insurance if you get hurt on the job?
Workman's comp.
Okay, so they'll lessen the amount of money that it costs us for workman's comp. And I've said this, and I've said this before at a meeting just like this. A couple of years ago, we had the same thing come up. Get an email from Maine Municipal, hurry up, you don't have any time, there's only 2 weeks left, you better sign up, da-da-da. So we looked into it, and I actually got the program from them, and there was that checkoff thing. And it would have cost us a few bucks to achieve those checkoffs. The one that really got my attention, and I mentioned it in a meeting, was that if you get hurt on the job, they, MMA, has an outfit that you will go to for your health care. Never mind your own doctor. You will go where they tell you to go. And the place they had selected for us at that point in time was in the building where I used to work when it was the Bridgeton Hospital. Now the hospital is in the newer building up front, the older building sits in the back. They had an office in the back. And I don't know what happened, but one day they decided they weren't gonna be there anymore, and they pulled up and they're gone now. So I've been asked to go over and sit, when this guy comes, to look at Public Works or whatever. I'm not at all sure what, he's, other than trying to sell us their program, which in my humble opinion, we've got a pretty good program going. I'll go, but I'm not in any hurry to buy this checkoff sheet so that MMA can make a few bucks.
Yeah, it was like $3,000 or something, wasn't it?
By the time we would have got through all of those checkoffs, it was gonna cost more than what we were gonna save if we got,
Right.
so.
You back there, Cliff?
Yeah,
Okay.
where was I?
I
guess. Connex,
You got two
so-
containers on the end of the seat.
Huh? The one's down there full now?
I didn't know we had any down there. We got Connex boxes down there now?
There's, one that's been there, and then there's a big one that I've got the wood chipper in. There's only so much room that, over years, you gather stuff, we got a broom that sits outside, brand new. I'm just trying to keep stuff under cover. I mean, it ain't something that I want because I just want it, it's needed.
What, like 20 footer or something? 20 footer?
Like about the same size that we got for the wreck down here for the track. It's kind of big.
That's the cheapest way to get a building.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
We got nothing in there.
In the transfer station?
No,
Okay.
no, the Public Works.
And the capital
Equipment.
improvement?
Not just equipment. They got a line, I'm pretty sure they got a line item equipment.
I think so. I'll double check, but, price on that, I looked at It was $3,000 for one,
Yeah,
to
delivery.
be delivered here, yes.
Yeah, they're usually 2 or 3 grand.
Uh, So you guys good with that?
I'm good with it.
I mean, it's not capital improvements coming out of the departments, the
The
departments,
equipment.
Maintenance or whatever.
well, the department's, regular, budget, so.
Right.
Yep.
Cliff, just verify with Lynn, that your budget has it, you can get on 20-foot, approximately 3,000 delivered.
And that's going to, at the transfer station location though?
No,
Is that
it'll be a
no,
public works.
Okay. Alright,
I'll put the sweeper in it and whatever other equipment he has.
alright, cool.
Good.
Interim rec director?
I have jumped right into baseball and softball signups. We've been working closely with Denmark Rec, for those signups and getting word out to the schools and other rec programs. I have reopened the batting cage in the gym here, and that's gonna be by appointment only now. So people have to contact to get on the schedule and make sure it's not being used by somebody else in order to use it. We are gearing up for the Easter egg hunt that's coming up on April 4th from 10 to 1. And I'll be attending the Friends of Rec meeting tomorrow. They're hosting the dessert auction at that Easter egg hunt. We've been making some small upgrades to the fitness center. I've been speaking to a lot of the members and getting feedback from them. Just small things like mirrors on the walls in front of the treadmills. One of the machines, the cable machine is broken, so that needs to be replaced. I am planning on continuing to clean out and organize the many rooms of the rec center. There's a lot of great space here that's not being utilized or isn't able to be utilized. So in doing so, I hope to plan an open house for the rec center, bringing everybody in to use the rec room over here, play ping pong, air hockey. We'll have the fitness center open for that as well, so people can check out this fitness center. The gym will be open for playing basketball. Just trying to get people in the building to see what there is here to offer and all of that. And then I'm also in the very early stages of hopefully setting up an after-school program for Wednesdays. That's early release day in this district, so a lot of parents have trouble finding care for their children when school gets out so early. So I would like to offer that on Wednesdays in hopes of it growing to be possibly full-time, 5 days a week.
Sweet. Thank you. School board.
Quick tonight. So I conveyed Mr. Flynn's request to the superintendent that he come here and talk to the people of Brownfield about the budget, and he said he'd be more than happy to. All you have to do is invite him, and he'll be here. So we'll have to find out whether it should be at a select board meeting or a special meeting, and he'll come and talk about the budget right here in Brownfield.
What kind of turnout would you anticipate? Quite a few people? Because we'd have to do the invite, it's gonna be participation for the location. We can fit, 25 people, chief, in the meeting room at the town office?
Right.
We can take, 180 seated here? Seated?
Yeah. It was 178 or 179 seated and 2 something standing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
It's on the wall.
So Rick, we usually have 5 people show up when it's at the school, but hopefully it'll be more if we have it here.
I have to admit that my memory is, but you said Mr. Flynn requested it? That's me.
Yes.
Okay.
You don't remember that, Bill?
Right away, I wanna see it. I have no recollection.
Really? You said he should be here in Brownfield. presenting here in
There
Brownfield.
was
Anyway.
a lounge for a little while, I guess.
I blamed it on you, but he said he'll be happy to come and talk to the people of Brownfield right here if we want him to come.
Well, for several years, when I served on the Board of Selectmen, I can recall he would have a meeting at the school, and there were at least 2 or 3 of us that would go.
Right.
So, I don't, okay. I don't know what I was thinking when I said have a meeting.
That's for budget, correct?
Yes,
How far are you guys in?
we're just getting into it now, but usually by May, we have good information to share.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
Early May.
Pencils in.
yeah, May, let's look at May.
Can I ask something?
May.
Would we be able to ask him other questions other than budget questions?
No, it's gonna be over the budget.
Yeah, this is really a focus on the budget, we have to.
They used to do that years ago. They would go to each town, talk budget, and that was it. It was just budgetary. They used to do it, and then they changed it to, everybody had to go to Mollyhocket in the gym, to do that.
And now he does presentations at Brownfield Denmark Elementary,
Yeah.
New Suncook, and Mollyhocket. And then the full board vote on the budget and presentation is at Mollyhocket. But you can come to any school board meeting and ask questions, there's a public period.
So May, the 1st and 3rd are Tuesday or 5th and 19th. You wanna do the 12th of May? Is that
I'll have to
too
check
early?
with him about when he can, 'cause he's doing a bunch of presentations in May. But May 12th, is that a select board meeting?
It's not.
Okay, but,
It's a Tuesday night.
okay, all right, I will check and get back to you.
Okay.
All right?
Sweet. Public safety building.
As Vicky said, we met with Spago Technics this morning, which is another engineering firm at Station. So they'll, once we get an RP, they'll hopefully submit a proposal to us. And our next meeting is next Tuesday at Doug's house, because he's kind of incapacitated at the moment. So we're gonna try to meet at his house. His address is on the notification announcement if other public wants to join us. That's kind of where we're at the moment.
Perfect. Thank you. Comp plan?
Yeah, there are numerous quarterly updates available on the comprehensive plan section of the town website. We're always updating and reviewing every quarterly and publishing them on the website. But there also, just a note that the proposed Rails to Trail program is aligning well and impacting with our economy and recreation chapters.
Sweet, thank you. Okay, Cliff, you got the email on the salt for the statewide bid?
Yes.
We're gonna stick with Southern Maine, or?
Well, yeah,
Well, the state, you remember they sent out that,
right, they send that every year.
yeah, I just wanna make sure, I mean, we're getting the same deal with Southern Maine.
Yes.
So, and we don't have to worry about being under, we don't have to estimate, and then.
No, because they'll email me and ask me tonnage.
We
Yeah.
usually avoid that.
Yeah. Okay.
There's only like 2 options really, it's Morton and Easton.
Right. Morton, South. We do Easton, but it's all.
Yep.
What's up, Maine? Deal with them, everything's gotta come out of Portsmouth or further south.
Yeah, the whole estimating on the tonnage, if you're under, then the price increases exponentially. And that's if they have it, because they're just guessing at what, they're gonna take all the people that sign up for it, take their estimates, add 10%.
Right.
You're good, but if anything happens after that,
Right.
you're screwed. Southern Maine, the price doesn't increase on our second or third time going back for it.
And when you do that sort of thing, like I said, you can't get it from Portland, you gotta get it from Newington or Portsmouth.
Right. Yeah, so
And then
it's-
both them places are out, cause that's the city.
Yeah.
It comes up out of, somewhere around Gloucester, somewhere down in that area.
All right, Cliff, you can disregard the one from Tammy Sebecki on the salt.
Right. Yeah, we're better off just doing what we always do. With butter salt.
Is Matt Streeter here?
Yep. Right here?
You weren't quite so
Yeah, I guess.
scary last time.
No, I think I just shaved last time. My periodic shaving. But let me see if I can wake this thing up again. You know, also that plug never got plugged in.
Oh, it must have unplugged.
Got pulled out.
All right,
Having technology.
you got juice.
No, it was that little lower right-hand corner button that did it last time. Oh, and then go up to HDMI.
Oops.
Yeah, put that, there you go, select that. It's it takes a second.
Yay.
There we go, let's see if this actually is in focus. Might want to focus it a little bit. No, it's not focused.
Good, gentlemen, let's call it.
I guess I'm not gonna leave well enough alone.
Yeah.
How you put the good boy.
So, my name is Matt Streeter, I'm with Trout Unlimited. And we do a program with towns where we help them to replace culverts that are in high-quality brook trout habitat that are also problematic for the town. So we help to raise the money. There's funds that come from Maine Department of Transportation and other private foundations and from Trout Unlimited. And we peck away at these little culvert locations. And the idea is kind of reconnecting the brook trout habitat in the watershed. So, I don't know, how many people, is that a familiar concept, that the idea of connectivity? Okay, so that's kind of a new thing. When I first started doing this stuff, people are like, what? What are you talking about? But as you can see here, I'm gonna point out, this is the culvert that we just finished up on Fen Hill Road. It's over Coal Brook, which is a beautiful little wild brook trout habitat. But you can see here, this little drop here, it's maybe 6 or 8 inches. Same on the other side. No brook trout will ever go up in there. You think they might, they're not as smart as we are. And that just doesn't look like where they go. I mean, maybe a few would get up in there, but by and large, that may as well be a brick wall for them at those flows. A little higher flows, there might be more water downstream and they might sneak up in there, but at the higher flows, it's shooting out of that little tube a lot faster. So it's really surprisingly, looking at that, it doesn't look so bad, but it really is a barrier to any kind of brook trout migration. And the brook trout, we've done studies in the McGalloway River watershed where we tag brook trout, and a few of them will travel 50, 60, 75 miles in the course of a year. And they'll go down, they'll start out in the very headwaters, one little tributary, and they'll go down, spend some time in the main stem river, and then they'll go up the next tributary. Sometimes they'll spawn in 2 different tributaries in 2 different years. And then other ones will stay within about 200 feet of where they started out. You know, they just like where they are. So you really, in order to have the genetic diversity and the broadest range of the population in terms of size and capabilities and things like that, you really want to have all of these barriers removed so that the brook trout can travel when they want, where they want, for temperature, for spawning, for any of those things. Also, by the way, this is a site where reportedly, Cliff tells me, every couple of years, this thing would overtop in the spring. It would get clogged up with branches upstream, and it would overtop and wash over, and there'd be money going into, repairing the road there. And one day, it would just wash out, right? Eventually, it's bound to happen that it would wash out, and you'd have a complete failure there. So these are things that it's beneficial to the town also to take care of. And that's the reason that the Department of Transportation provides a lot of the funding for it. The budget on this, I'll show you what we did, and then I'll talk budget, because that's what it looks like now. So, of course, the brush and stuff is gonna grow up, but you can see, this is what it looked like in the fall after we were done in drought conditions. This is what it looked like this afternoon when I went up there. So you can see that brook trout, right now, this time of year, brook trout want to go up there. In the fall, chances are they're further down in a deep hole somewhere in a spring further down in the river. But right now, up there's another, I forget, 1.7 miles or something of habitat upstream that they could make use of. And in the spring, it's a very good place for the small fish to go, to not get eaten by big fish, and to stay out of the high flows and stuff like that. And also, by the way, on each side you can see that animals could walk through there. Raccoons, foxes, turtles, frogs, salamanders, anything that normally walks up and down the stream bank can walk straight up there without walking over the road. Now here, there's very little traffic, but a lot of places that can really save a lot of animals from getting killed on the road, and it might even save some people from swerving off into a ditch to avoid an animal. So every time we put one of these in, we put little shelves on the side for terrestrial animals to go up in there. This is the under construction. You can see over to the right is that right-hand side of the culvert. I'll show you here. It's not immediately obvious. This is the right-hand tube of the culvert. The left-hand tube belongs about here, and this is the footing that we put down. So we put that down real deep to make it obviously resistant to erosion during flooding and stuff like that. And the way we designed it to go back to this view, that is much larger area than the original one, because what they calculate is how to put a 100-year flood through there, plus a foot or two leeway on top for branches and stuff to get through. So this thing will pass a 100-year flood. And it's designed for a 70-year lifespan, so it won't have to be replaced for 70 years, 75 years. And that's at a minimum. Chances are it'll go 100, 125 years before it fails. That's the road after construction. This is a map that shows the various culverts that we have already done. All the green in the left in Brownfield is areas of watershed that we opened up since we started doing this with the town in 2014. Down in that little yellow spot is what was just opened up when we, just above the word Porter, when we did this project. And then the red over there is a series of projects on the west branch of the 10 Mile River that we're going to start, hopefully be working with the town of Porter on coming up next. Another really beautiful little brook trout stream there. I wanted to give people a report out on the project and a status, and also to say thank you to the town and to the select board and to all the people in the town office, for working with us on these projects. There's a whole series of them around town. We've been doing it for over 10 years, and we really appreciate the support that we've gotten in the community. And also, as far as project budget goes, as I said, this is a $283,000 project, right? So it's a lot more than just replacing those culverts, right? But it's gonna last a lot longer, and it's gonna do a lot more than those culverts were doing. And so the funding came, 200,000 came from Department of Transportation. The town put in 28,000, which is about 10% of the overall budget, and the rest came from private foundations and from Trout Unlimited and stuff like that. So that's kind of what these things cost. So thanks to all of our funders, thanks to the town, thanks to you guys, and I hope we can continue doing these kinds of projects around here. There's a lot of good habitat. I don't know if people have questions or.
Years ago, when you guys first looked at Penn Hill, you also looked at the brook on Dugway, Stone Brook.
We did look at that, yeah.
Is that still on your list of hopes?
You know, probably not, and the reason is because the funders won't fund that because there's a dam just upstream.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's a little pond right at the very headwaters of that. It's on private property, it's a dam, it's a beautiful little pond looking, so I'm sure the property owner doesn't want to get rid of that dam. But they won't fund something where it doesn't open up the full watershed, really.
Okay.
Yeah, but there is another one over on, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the road, just going into New Hampshire. There's a little tributary there that's unnamed. On this map, it's that orange spot up here that early on we built a little weir there to back the water up into the culvert to try and improve that. But it really wasn't very effective, so we may come back and try and look into doing that one. It's a really nice tributary. I was just up there today, I took some pictures there too.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we will be, and for the public, if anybody knows somebody who has a culvert on their property that they think might be useful to improve brook trout passage and also improve your property, I'll leave my card at the town office. You can get in touch with me. We do, with the Department of Agriculture, sometimes they'll fund those projects. So it's not out of the question. If there are any community groups that want to put a longer presentation about the whole connectivity and the watershed and stuff like that, I'm happy to do that as well. I don't want to take everybody's time with that, but. All right.
Yeah.
The 10 Mile Brook, it wasn't that long ago that I recall reading that at one point in time that was listed as one of the better trout fishing areas in the state of Maine.
That would not surprise me one bit.
Yeah.
It is, I was just up there also driving around this afternoon, checking out those culverts, and it is really beautiful habitat. And the tributaries that go into it are all really nice habitat, so.
Now, how well do you folks do at the Freiburg Fair? You've got a booth in the center aisle there, and you've had it for several years.
Yeah, we do great there. We've signed up a bunch of, one of the big things that we do there is we raise funds for our trout camp for kids every year. It's 4 days in June. We've signed up some students for that as well. If people are interested, if anybody has a kid between 12 and 17 who wants to go to trout camp for 4 days this summer, again, I'll leave my card. Get in touch with me because it's a lot of fun. I work on that as well. So we've raised funds and we've gotten students signed up at the Freiburg Fair. It's really good event. All right. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
The next presentation will be Rails to Trails. Whoops.
Next slide. So sorry about the craziness at the beginning, but hopefully we'll be able to get through this a little bit more easily. But we're happy to have.
Somebody want to advance, I'll
Okay.
do that.
Okay.
Unless you want to do it, okay.
So I wanted to acknowledge Dakota Hewlett, who is here from the Maine DOT. He's the active transportation planner for the Maine DOT. Doug Smith is here from the Friends of the Mountain Division Trail, and he's going to talk about maintenance and capital expenses that the town might be on the line for, and also speak about the benefits of the rail trail. But I also wanted to thank everybody who showed up tonight. We really appreciate it because so many of you are supporters. We have Alice here from the Friends of Rec, Alice Fitzgerald. We have Dick Norcross here from the Burnt Meadow Snow Club. Steve, who spoke from the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Committee. So we appreciate all of your support, and many of the rest of you who are both taxpayers and business owners and trail users. So thanks for being here. I'm going to hand it over to Dakota. He's going to speak about the timeline and
Sure, we can do that.
costs.
Next slide.
Let's go to the next slide. And as Terry said, my name is Dakota Hewlett with the Maine Department of Transportation. I'd like to thank you for having me, thank the school board, Terry and Doug for working on this with us and for having me come talk today. I'm actually gonna let Doug probably talk about the early part of this timeline, help put this together, and then I'll pick up from about number 6 there.
Yes.
And go on from there.
Yeah, welcome, and I too appreciate everyone turning out tonight. The first 5 bullets there are really a study in history, and I think you'll see this in the body of the presentation. A lot of the talk today is about context. We talk about the rail trail coming to Brownfield and then beyond to Hiram and then continuing east. But what does this mean for the town of Brownfield? And I felt we should get out here early to talk about that. So if you look at this timeline, it's pretty remarkable that in the late 1870s, the railroad from Portland to Ogdenburg, New York, 405 miles, was put into service. And for the next 80 or so years, it was servicing both passengers and freight. But unfortunately, there's a lot of competition, a lot of redundancy in the rails, and the amount of traffic for freight and for passengers continued to decline to the point where, as you can see up here, in 1958, there was the end of the passenger rail on that railroad. And that was true across the whole line. And in 1983, it was the last time that a freight train was on the rails. So if you think about that, that's 52 years that the rail has remained inactive. And some people refer to it as a lazy asset. It's not really doing much, it's just there. And what happened in 1997 is the state of Maine, with some advocacy from the Mountain Division Alliance, purchased the rights to that rail for the state of Maine. And in 2003, 6 years later approximately, a 5-mile section of the rail trail was turned into a trail with a rail or vice versa. And the first segment is in Windham, Gorham, and Standish, and that's about 5 miles long. And there was a fair amount of traffic initially, but I don't think it had really been discovered. I fortunately live, since 2003 in fact, about a half a mile away from the rail trail, on a snowmobile path through the woods. It's kind of a wonderland to get to that trail and then be on a graded, or I should say asphalt trail, and recreate there. In 2012, the Freiburg section of the trail was built, and that's 4.5 miles currently. Probably add another half mile as we go down the road. And then turn over to Dakota. This is the stuff where we're trying to figure out through a Railroad Use Advisory Council, is what RUAC stands for, the best use for that railroad. So.
Yeah, thank you, Doug. There's a lot in this timeline that's missing, and a lot happens over time. There's a lot of other policy things in here that we don't necessarily need to get into today. But in 2022, after some changes in state statute relating to use of state-owned rail corridors and how non-rail uses get looked at, the Rail Use Advisory Council, that's what that acronym RUAC stands for, took place. So that was a council made up of folks from representing towns along those, the corridor here, the Mountain Division corridor, as well as industries, businesses, trail, and they looked at all the options, did a study, and made a recommendation to the Commissioner of Transportation, Maine DOT, who then makes a decision on whether or not to take that recommendation forward into the legislature. And then there, the legislature looks at that and makes an actual decision-making kind of determination on whether or not the rail corridor can be used as an interim trail. And that is kind of an interim trail in nature. Of course, if a rail use were to come back, then the trail would go away and the rail use would come back on the corridor. So all of that did happen in about that 2022-2023 time period. In 2023, the state law was signed authorizing the trail to, or the corridor to be used as an interim trail. And that really only applied to the 32-mile stretch between Freiburg and Standish. The two ends, as Doug had mentioned, it does have some trail existing and kind of grandfathered in under the process. The Rail Use Advisory Council applied to just that section between Freiburg and Standish. So after that, Maine DOT did a feasibility study in 2024, looking at what would it take to make that happen, to make that interim trail project happen across those 30 miles. What sections make sense to do first, what sections are more challenging, what are the bridges and culverts like, where might trailheads be, those types of things, as well as the costs involved, and the general idea of what the design might need to look like. So that wrapped up in 2024. Since then, Maine DOT has secured some funding to continue on. We are right now in the process of designing and engineering an actual trail project for the first 10 miles coming south from 113 in Freiburg, where the existing trailhead is there, down into kind of the Hiram Village area, right about 10 miles almost exactly is that first stretch of the project. So our effort there now, we've done a survey along that corridor, both a property survey in places where we need it, as well as a topographical survey, so that we can design our grades and our slopes and things to that. And we have a firm, HNTB, an engineering firm on board doing that design. So they're working at designing the trail as well as kind of improving the parking area there in Hiram that's on state land, and I believe that's also used as some off-color parking right now also. So that's a nice kind of shared use location there for recreation. The plan here is to continue to work through that design process. I would expect in a month or two, we'll actually have an online public engagement standpoint for that project, where you'll be able to see the plan, see the timeline, all of that, and comment on that through our online comment portal, at hopefully a month or two from now. And we're hoping to get that design to a point where we could bid it for construction by September of this year. If that can work out for us, that doesn't mean construction will start this year necessarily, but I think we want to get that bid out, if we can get through our design process by then, potentially with construction activities happening, late this year or into the next construction season, if we don't get into it this season. And that construction season, we don't know how long yet it will take to build the trail project, but I would expect it would take most of 2027's construction season to do that. There are some bridge improvements and some bridge rehab work in there, as well as the trail surface itself. Dan covered most of that. Doug, did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it. I would just point out something that I've become aware of is how quickly the Department of Transportation is moving through this process. Really are trying to move it along as quickly as possible and get that contract awarded if possible by the end of September. That's not usual speed. The Department of Transportation with dozens and dozens of other projects going, but this has been up on the priority, so feel good about that. Getting started sooner, getting to the good stuff. Thank you. Oh, I should, as a point of order here, if you've got questions, if it's a point question on the tip of your tongue, fire it. But if it's a discussion topic, at the end we have a Q&A and discussion by topics, and we can get into it more depth, actual discussion as opposed to a point question answer. So I don't know if you all can read this with the light as it is, but so I'll try and help guide us through this. One of the things that I think the selectmen and others have probably got on their mind is how much is this going to cost? Well, the Department of Transportation has put aside, or will be putting aside, something in the order of $12 million to build this out, this 31 miles of trail. Somewhere's in that neighborhood. We're not quite sure what it's going to be till.
Not the 31 miles, the 10 miles.
Oh, excuse me, the 10 miles, thank you. Just the first 10 miles, so it's approximately $1 million a mile to build this. A large part of that is associated with restoration of bridges, not something you can cut corners on. And what I did to try and get a sense for what this agreement might look like is to look at the agreements that are in place. And there's one agreement that's in place and has been amended. The first launch of that was in 2003, and the towns of Windham, Gorham, Standish signed that contract for maintenance. And in it is a set of things you might expect to see. What are emergency numbers? How do you handle situations where people aren't using the trail properly or illegally, like driving a car on it. How do you handle that type of situation? But the core of it, and I would think where a lot of concentration would come in as to what does this responsibility actually look like, is in a section that talks about tasks and who's responsible for them. And what I did was I took as best I can, if you can read these lines, the language, as awkward as they sound, and put it into a PowerPoint presentation. So I didn't try and change the language, I tried to be true to it and bring it across to a PowerPoint. So these are the responsibilities reflected in that contract that the town has. One of them is volunteer coordination with local volunteer clubs and organizations. And I took the liberty of talking to a number of people who are operating, including directors of rec and parks, and trying to get an estimate of whether it was a low, medium, or high effort, without encumbering that with, is it $1,000, $3,000, $500? It depends on the trail, it depends on the town, depends on how many miles of trail they have. But then I was able to come up with this kind of little handicapping of what the responsibility magnitude was. So this is an example, there's an L on the far end of volunteer. It's not a big lift, it's really coordinating and phone calls kind of thing and getting people to help out with the trail. After all, in the final analysis, this will be your trail. I mean, the state may own it, but it's in your town, you're trying to use it as well as be responsible for keeping it up. There's a set of rules under B there that are adopted to promote safety and harmony for trail users and abutters. One of the examples of these is hours of operation. Once again, this is an L. There's not much lifting involved with that. The inspections, coordinating with the Maine DOT on multi-year inspections of major trail structures. This is bringing the best talent of people to look at the trail and trying to figure out what type of condition it's in, use, what kind of remediation is going to be necessary, because we won't be rebuilding or renovating bridges every single year, but you want to plan for them with some kind of reserve fund that the state looks at and is aware of, and then there's some parts of the remediation that's got to be done by the town as well.
Can I touch on that one?
Sure.
So, I just wanna be clear, on the bridge structures, since this is a state-owned rail corridor, those are still, going to be conducted by Maine DOT in accordance with our general regular bridge inspection, guidelines and timelines. So I think for this corridor, all those structures get inspected by us or our contractors every 5 years. We'll continue to do that, and that'll apply to anything over 10 feet, whether it's a culvert or a bridge, got a bridge number on it for us, that's a bridge if it's longer than 10 feet, and we will continue to inspect those from a structural integrity kind of and asset management standpoint. So that's not something that would fall to local efforts. Those major structures will continue to be inspected by Maine DOT. What this inspection might be more in reference to is to other types of asset management on the trail. So how is the surface? Are signs missing? Or did something get damaged? Or is there a drainage ditch that's getting clogged? Or those types of things will continue to take on that larger kind of structure asset management.
So I think the way this works, to augment what Devoted said, is C and D together. D is what you do every year, what do you have to do? And C, there's some talking going back and forth between the state inspectors and what the local people are doing to maintain the caliber of the trail. So if we roll the clock forward, and there are people coming to visit and use the trail, and perhaps buy things at the convenience stores or even stay overnight at B&B in town, it's because there's a brand. They know the experience is going to be like. So many folks have pedaled on the Memorial Valley Rail Trail in Vermont. And mile for mile, if you're on that trail, you know the signage, you know that there's some tools at some of the stops. You just know how the whole thing works. And what that does is it leads to more visitors coming to use the trail because it's a known experience. But it's a team effort to try and make that all come together. Hence, there's an annual maintenance activities and planning, and there's also the bigger buck kinds of things that need to coordinate with the state to know what's going on. Next. Snow removal. Well, we don't have a trailhead parking area yet, but in practice, some of the people, the companies, I should say organizations that have signed up with this maintenance agreement, they do have parking lots and they do plow them. Signage, this is a low responsibility in the sense that once you get the signs up, sometimes you have to repair or replace them. Unfortunately, there's been some vandalism
in this area of the state, where signs have been cut down with a chainsaw. We hope that doesn't happen here, but it's an example of how things can go bad and we have to get the signs back up. After all, again, with the brand, we want people to know how to get things like a cup of coffee or whatever they need to keep going on the trail. Trail surface maintenance, repairing potholes, cracks, and other surfaces. So let me talk a little bit more about this. This is a paved trail. And I'll give you an example in the Wyndham section of the trail. It's been paved since 2005, I think. And only in the last year or two, so what does that work out to, almost 20 years, have they had to start doing this pothole filling in some places redoing the surface where tree roots have gotten under it. That's not something that in brownfield you'd be experiencing the first couple of years. It's really way down the road. That doesn't mean you shouldn't start putting some money aside for a larger type of pothole maintenance, if you will, in a reserve fund of sorts. Vegetation management, now this one by contrast is an annual thing. The minimum suggested number of mows is 2 times a year, but it also involves clearing brush and tree removal. And we'll get down a little bit later and talk about what happens if a hurricane comes through here. But this is the one tree down at mile marker, or whatever it is, 43, that somebody's got to take care of. Trash pickup, again, if you're on a trailhead, this isn't particularly applicable, but when you do, make some arrangements for that for 2 things. One not so pleasant, one necessary, and that is the litter can that's there, trash can, but also bags for pet poop, to make sure that gets cleared out as well, instead of being on the trail. Next, coordination. If there's something aberrant happening on the trail, again, the car driving down the trail, how do we coordinate with local law enforcement to try and mitigate that? Low, again, phone numbers. This is just something posted in the kiosk along the trail. How do you get a hold of somebody in the case of emergency? What we've got in the section with Wyndham, Gorham, Standish is mile markers. So we'd be able to call on the trail if somebody went down and was seriously injured, and I'm at mile marker such and such. And hopefully the people on the other end of the phone know how to get there and get that taken care of. Report ATV usage. This trail is not meant for trail usage. So this is an issue in a lot of sections of the trail. I suspect it will be here. It's just, I think, a matter of getting the right behavior patterns in place. And it's not necessarily that easy in the early days, but that's keeping with the use of the trail. Coordinating with other towns. This is just talking to the people in Freiburg, other people in Hiram about what's going on the trail. If you had some outage, minor outage, it might be a nice thing to call your colleagues in the other town and let them know if there's somebody through traveling. They would be able to be apprised of that coupled with the signage to know that there's some problems ahead. Okay, I guess this is when you're gonna pass the baton to.
Take this, and I wanna add a little bit to the conversation too. This is very similar to the types of kind of maintenance partnerships and management arrangements that we have with trails that we have existing in the state of Maine. There's the Kennebec River Rail Trail in the Augusta area, down in Gardner along the Kennebec River. Doug's mentioned the other existing portions of Mountain Vision Trail along this corridor, and there's some other corridors that we've worked with local partners on. So these are the types of things that those agreements include. We would be seeking to have some type of agreement in writing with our local maintenance partners, just to lay this out exactly, who's doing what, that type of thing, so that we can make sure that the asset that we're building can last for 20, 25 plus years, like Doug mentioned. So that's really kind of generally the goal here. Of course, we have at Maine DOT some roles and responsibilities to play in this as well. So the first one, and an important question that I get a lot, is what happens if something happens? Vermont has had some major flooding, and we're all aware of big storms happening in places that have blown out culverts and bridges and things like that. And that's definitely something that Maine DOT will be involved in. If something catastrophic happens in the corridor along this trail project, in Freiburg, in Brownfield, in Hiram, if the culvert fails, if the corridor gets washed out, we'll definitely be involved there. That's because we own this corridor. We want to make sure we protect its integrity, both for the trail itself and for the rail preservation side of things, it's no good to any public good if it's washed out, if we lose a major structural asset or something like that. So Maine DOT will certainly be involved if there is a catastrophic event. That doesn't necessarily always mean we'll be there the next day and we'll have it fixed the next day, but it means we'll be involved. We'll be talking about what it takes to get there. You know, do we need to seek money for it? Do we need to seek a grant, or is that part of annual budgeting? Or, you know, we'll certainly be involved in that if we need to come in and help with a failure of the trail that's, you know, washout, culvert failure, major bridge damage, that kind of thing. We'll certainly be here and play a major role in something like that. So that's not something we'd be looking for a local partner to do, is to, you know, rebuild a bridge if there was major damage or a culvert. I think would be gonna be time to talk about that and help out if something catastrophic like that does happen.
So this has come up on a number of meetings I've been in, and it's, I just want to emphasize that business of a maintenance partner. If it's too big for the town, it's time to talk to the state and see what kind of collaborative effort there can be. And it's typically precipitated by some catastrophic situation. Let's drill a little bit further, to go into the Vermont situation. The Lamoille Valley Trail is one of the segments of the Mountain Division Rail. So there's one in Maine, which we're talking about here, there's one in New Hampshire, and there's a segment in Vermont, and then a segment in New York State, across the other side of Lake Champlain. And the segment in Vermont is 92 miles long. It is now a rail trail, and it's a stone dust surface, and they have in 2 successive years, 23 and 24, almost the exact same day in July in both years, catastrophic storms coming through. Rain for 4 or 5 days, soil totally saturated, this big hurricane-like storm came through, and bridges weren't damaged, they were washed away. And the damage came in at $11.5 million to replace it. Unfortunately, FEMA worked hand in hand with the state of Vermont with some encouragement and financed virtually every dollar of that. And then the next year it happened again, and it was almost $11 million again. And that's an example of a partnership between the state and actually the federal government to try and get that trail back on line. And in 24, I know, the storm hit the second week in July, and they had it up and running by the first week in December. And the big reason for that is a huge amount of rec dollars that come into Vermont are from snowmobilers. And the governor made a statement that we had to have this trail in operation before the snowmobile season started. That's an example of the hustle to get it back in place because of the partnership, financially and actually day in, day out, working the bridges and replacing them.
Yep. Maybe I'll add to that just a little bit. The gentleman was talking about the brook trout passage. We have some similar kind of philosophies as well, not just for fish passage, but for protection of those assets. As we're working on, you know, roads or the trail, if we are touching some of these culverts and having to rebuild them with that project, we'll be thinking about, you know, how large of a flood do we need to plan for, and make sure that what we're doing lasts for quite a number of years and doesn't get washed out.
Yeah. So this table, I've learned from some people I showed it to today that is not so easy to follow. So I'm gonna try and step you through it and show you the mystery decoder ring version of it. If you look at the items down the left-hand side, there's signage repair, fencing, trash removal, and there's an estimation of the manpower required. And this is on the part of the public works people in this particular town. This is a real example, by the way. And on the far right side, you see that the signage repair, because of vandalism, was $800 last year. Some of the fencing was broken, had to be replaced, $800. Trash removal for the year was $350. And then they spent 10 man days, which is what MD stands for weeds and leaves. That's weed whacking and also leaf blowing. Mowing was 4 man days for the whole year. Limbing up was 4 man days. And the total man days were 18 man days. Now, you probably can't read the footnotes there, but their price of a fully loaded per hour cost is $25 per hour for their employees. Assuming they work 8 hours a day, that turns into about $200 a day for a man day, times 18, you get through 3,600. So that's the magic decoder version of this, totaling out as a operating cost per year of $5,500. This is for 4.5 miles of trail. And the capital cost, this I said earlier, that for the big bad things that happen, you want to be able to have some money set aside in reserve, and each year you put some money in there, socking it away, in case in year 5, year 7, something big happens, you'll have some reserve. You don't have to cause an emergency and cash flow draws. So it turns out to be $7,000 for this particular town for 4.5 miles, which is, you know, a little bit less than $2,000 a year. Yeah.
The manpower in this town, we were working on this with the transfer station. It would cost us, I think it was $75,000 a year to hire another person. They don't have time enough with the budget and the manpower they have now to cover this expense. So we would have to either farm it out to an outside contractor or hire another employee, full-time, part-time, I don't know. But the cost that you've got down there, I don't think you could do it for twice that.
Well, that's what this town does.
Rick, where would we go with it? Who's gonna do it?
Do you mind if I jump on that a little bit first, and then certainly, this is just an example kind of what it looks like. Pulling from perspective elsewhere in Maine, many of these tasks, like on the Kennebec River Rail Trail and others, do happen through coordination with volunteers too. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's a paid hour every time. Maine DOT, you know, we like the trail maintained, but we don't care, you know, who's out there doing it necessarily every day. So the volunteers, some snowmobile club efforts on this trail certainly, winter use of snowmobile trail, whether it's, you know, support through the town and staff, or contractors. So this is kind of more of an example of the type and the structure of like what it might look like, but not necessarily the cost. The cost will be pretty kind of location specific or town specific, and, you know, based on the method used, whether there's a lot of volunteers available or whether there's town staff or contracts for mowing or things like that.
Yeah, to clarify, this one, they paid for it all in-house, but it can be contracted out, and as Dakota aptly points out, if you have a roster of volunteers who can contribute some time, this number goes way down. And the other part of this is, I have seen just incredible variance in the amount of hours and money spent maintaining the trail. I mean, I've seen things like $650 per mile and $3,000. It depends on so many factors, but the one thing that I would really look at closely is, this is a new trail. The higher end prices are trails that have been out for a long time. They're typically trails with a rail, so they're not built on the railroad bed. When they're built on the railroad bed, they drain better, vegetation doesn't intrude as much. So it's quite variable. And to come back to Dakota's point, this is an example of one town in Maine and what they've experienced. We could bring out a half dozen others. We have to figure out how it's gonna work for Brownfield. Yeah.
If the snowmobile people take care of a lot of the trail, how come they can't use it?
The snowmobile people?
They can use this.
They can use it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I thought you couldn't.
No, it's the ATV people that aren't.
Maine DOT we don't have a problem with allowing winter snowmobile use here. We do now on at least a portion of the rail.
Yeah, we're taking a page from, they absolutely do. We're taking a page from what they did in Vermont. The people who leased from the state of Vermont the rights for the trail and built the first 20 or 30 miles of trail were snowmobilers. They're heavily involved, and we plan on bringing them more into the equation here in Maine too. They're on the early parts of the organization and are one of the backbones of the work and the use of the trail in Vermont. So, definitely in the circle. Next. All right, so the economic benefits and other kinds of factors. There is a lot of revenue generated for the trail from people who are on the trail as either locals or aren't locals. The direct spend income from local economy, day visitors typically spend $11 to $13, and non-local day users can spend about $70. Overnight is $176. Now, these are numbers that are drawn from a half dozen different studies. They may not apply to Brownfield, they're just directional. I wouldn't take that to the bank, but the point is that people do spend in the local economy.
whether they're from the town or they're from away. And overnight, staying overnight, let's say, people hear about the trail and they hear about Stone Mountain Arts Center. They'd be perhaps more tempted to stay overnight if one of their favorite groups is playing up there. So you try and create an environment where people are attracted to the community for more than one reason, riding the trail, and potentially stay overnight, 1-2 nights, and enjoy the environment and the events that they can get into. There's also an economic ripple effect, and this a lot of analysts get into the depths of. I haven't spent a lot of time on it because, frankly, I've got a little bit of a cynical view that you build a trail and all of a sudden instantly these jobs get created. And instantly businesses come in. It doesn't quite work that way. So I don't really factor that in too much, but you'll see in some of the studies, if you ever look at them, that they often capitalize on the number of jobs created. I didn't put that up here. The home value increases in value, 3 to 5% is what's the average across the country of the increase in home value as a result of being proximal to a rail trail. But there's other benefits, and while they're listed at number 3, they are also very important. It's the health of the visitors, whether local or not, are getting out and exercising and benefiting from the experience. There's also a sense of community, belonging, and pride. I see that in Wyndham, because I ride that trail all the time. There's a lot of nods and waves and sometimes stopping to talk to people. I've been doing it for 20 years and get to know people on the trail, and I think that would happen here as well. Active transportation, who knows? Maybe people start riding their bike instead of taking their car if they're going up to Freiburg and work there. Environment this is environmentally friendly kind of resource and asset, potentially reducing pollution with less cars on the road. So those are some of the other benefits. Terry? Here's a data supporting the economic factors from the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail, 91 miles across Vermont. It was a 2022 study. Importantly, when this study was done, Lamoille Valley Trail wasn't connected. They had 3 sections. Their utilization of trail visitors, and they have counters, I don't know, every 10 miles or so, and they've had them there for years, has skyrocketed since the trail is continuous, 91 miles from one end to the other. So this was before that connectivity was there. They're seeing 123,000 visitors plus a year back in 22. The visitor types break down into local, non-local but day users, and then overnights. And down below that is the expected revenue. And these numbers have been used in a half dozen different studies. They've been surveyed, they've been studied to derive these numbers. And then you do the math on it, how many visitors, what type of visitor, how much they've spent, and it turns into, for that trail, about 3.9 million a year. So if you just take some math and divide the number of dollars generated and the miles of trail, it's about $43,000 a mile. Will Brownfield experience that? I don't think so, not in the initial years, but it's positive. And if you look at return on investment, if you believe something like that number, you're probably getting twice or more back from what the town has invested.
And Doug, I think we have some residents here who took the Lamoille Valley Trail for several days.
Yeah.
Brad, Andy, did you find this to be true, that you spent money?
Yeah. It was worth it.
It was worth it.
Going back again.
Yeah, there's the 2 extremes. There's some trails that I heard of shall remain nameless, and I've been on a short section of them. I've heard them described as one and done. They went there, they did the trail, they never go back. It's too ruddy, it's too bumpy, it's not well maintained. And then there's people who go like myself, from Lamoille Valley, and I suspect Andy, they'll be back. It's a beautiful trail to ride, and so will this trail.
Mm-hmm.
So we're up to the last part, the discussion, Q&A. Words on the street, what do you hear? What do you have questions about that Dakota or I or others on our board can answer? The timeline, if you have questions about the timeline, what Dakota had presented, costs and benefits. I just put these up here as prompts. We don't have to go through every single one. Yeah.
Right, you guys said you had the trailhead in Freiburg and trailhead in Hiram. So where do they stop in Brownfield?
We've been talking about a trailhead in Brownfield.
Where would that be?
Well, you know the geography better than I.
Yeah, so it would be, what we're looking at is right where, the rail crosses 160. So right over on, I guess it's Denmark Road where the
Denmark
country.
and Misty Lane?
Yes,
That's
right,
right.
right
It's
through
Misty
there
Lane,
is, approximately where it would be. That's what we're hoping for.
So a consolidated little shack is,
Yeah, somewhere in that
The
area.
telecom shack.
Mhm.
that doesn't work too well.
So that's the hope.
You're talking about the telecom issue, doesn't work too well.
What do you
Right.
From the DOT perspective on that, we are, with the project, going to develop the trailhead in Hiram. The reason we're able to do that is because it's already a publicly owned parcel that we have room and access to with the state-owned corridor. You know, we probably would, if we had a wide enough spot in the corridor, we'd be doing the same thing in Brownsville. We just don't, you know, our rail corridor only spot that is really wide enough for, you know, a type of trailhead development in Brownfield specifically. But as we get a little bit further into design and in a couple of months, I'm gonna push our consultants, see if they can find us a couple, you know, parking spaces worth of space on, you know, a site in our corridor in Brownfield, just to provide that access. It may not be a full-blown trailhead, but we can find space for a few cars to access it down.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a 10-foot wide trail,
Yes.
and the Snowmobile Club has 6 places where they enter and exit. Is that all gonna be wide enough for them to get a groomer and out of them?
It is in other sections of the trail. They groom it in Freiburg, they groom it in Wyndham. Yeah. Yeah, we have to get particular. I mean, where would you be accessing the trail from this, with a groomer behind you on this snowmobile? You know, at which point?
Yeah, like from where the Freiburg one ends, and you're coming up, they're gonna be, that's like 3/4 of a mile. And Freiburg comes down, turns around, and then goes back, and then we come on, and then we continue.
Continue on, yeah.
So there has to be room enough to swing the groomer through there.
Yeah.
That would be a great thing. So in a month or two, when we have those plans that we can do kind of an online engagement, we'll have this put together. That would be a great time to reach out to me or to submit for that, just to make sure that we're thinking about that and thinking about what that transition kind of area is for. I assume that's, you know, one club's got their area and another club's got their area.
Yeah. When we come back to the trailhead business and where that might be, there is grant monies available. In fact, there's a $30 million trail bond that was passed a year and a half ago. And we would be applying to try and get some of those monies to fund a trailhead in Brownfield. And here's the reason. If you've ever biked or hiked or whatever on the trail, about 5-10 miles, you're gonna want a place to stop. And a true rest stop, if you know what I mean. And going from the visitor center in Freiburg down to here is too far to go without a rest stop of sorts. So I'm talking now on behalf of the Friends of the Mountain Division Trail, and my other board members can chastise me in the board meeting tomorrow for saying this, but we have to have an active role in making the trail more usable. And one of the keys to that is the conveniences. And Vermont has done a superb job of articulating what the various rest stops, trailheads look like. They have a rest stop, which is a bunch of benches, and at the other side, it looks like something you'd see at a highway rest stop. You know, it's got bathrooms, it's got conveniences, and it sells candy machines, everything on the side. We're gonna find the right size.
And who pays for all of that?
I'm sorry?
Who would pay for all of that? Like the
grants.
Oh, that's the grant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
raise
that, I
money.
think what Doug is alluding to is we don't just want parking spots in Brownfield, we want a deluxe trailhead in Brownfield. So people can park there, they can get off, they can come into town, they can, you know, use the businesses in town, and it'll be, you know, we wanna have some picnic tables, make it a really nice place for people to convene and to access the trail. Parking we'll need too, but we wanna make it something pretty nice, and we'll look for grant money to do that.
We want people to stop at Brownfield.
Right, yep.
How will this trailhead impact the intersection, the 5-way intersection out here that's had so many accidents? Will it have any impact on that?
It's hard to say. I would say the top, no, because they're not crossing the road. Not the main road, that is, 113. And the other thing.
I'm just thinking about if there were ever a rotary put in there, because there's been all kinds of conversations about this, and we can't seem to get to the bottom of where things are.
What is gonna be done, yeah.
What needs to be done, what has already been done, where's the communication from DOT about this intersection? There's been a fair amount of concern after a fatal accident that happened out there. And I just wanna know if there will be any kind of like negative impact on the potential opportunity to have a rotary or light there because of the trail, like, how does that get separated out so that we can deal with this intersection?
Well, let me deal with the easy part of that, and I'll turn it over to Dakota. In the plans, there are road crossings and signage and these flashing lights and stuff. That's in the plan. How many and when they would be put in and where, that may be in this final design.
Yes, working on that.
Yeah. So there are things that reduce the risk of crossing it.
It's not about the crossing it as much as my concern is if we put a rail trail in there and then there isn't enough room to have a rotary or whatever. I don't know anything about that.
Didn't knock down houses to.
I just wanna,
There's like 3 houses before any of the crossing. We have no problem with snowmobiles all winter long going across the rail there. There's 2 houses there, you're way.
Yeah, it's far enough
far
away
back.
from.
So it wouldn't be in it, okay.
And if DOT had a big project that was focused on roadway safety at the intersection, that would largely kind of take precedent there, so we would reorganize the trail or, an intersection or something. in order
I
to
might
accommodate
suggest that
this.
you look at that intersection before you do the rail trail then.
Yeah.
It's all the same house. I mean, the Maine Department of Transportation has got responsibility for both.
Right.
So, Dakota.
Back to
so-
cost.
I'm sorry.
How, you had 18 man-days for what, 4.5 miles of trail?
Yeah.
How many miles in Brownfield?
What we
7, I
figure
think?
is it's 7.
7?
Yeah.
So what are you looking at, maybe 24 days?
It could be. Again, as was this gentleman raised, it's quite variable. Depends on what the nature
Well,
of the.
like he raised, we have a very small crew,
Yeah.
very limited funds. And it really, to me, seems like the state's asking Brownfield to kind of finance a hobby that's a hobby of a very small and select group of people.
Yeah.
You know, and we don't have the resources to play big town games.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't Gorham, it's not Standish, and it's not Freiburg.
Yeah.
You know, and I really feel it's almost like extortion here. You're telling us we gotta maintain this, trailhead and these trails for a very small select group of people.
Yeah.
The town doesn't finance my hobbies, nor does it finance the hobbies really of anybody in here that I know of.
Well, the snowmobile people would.
The Snowmobile Club has maintained that trail for many, many years now.
Snowmobile is different.
With the snowmobiles in New Hampshire, they cross the road and they eat up the pavement crazy on road crossings.
Because there's no snow on it.
Whoa.
Thank you, go big that me up.
But if it's a paved trail, shouldn't it be like for somebody that's handicapped?
Go to Freiburg and look at their trail.
No, and I understand, I just walked that trail last weekend.
Who's gonna plow the trail?
Well, that's what I'm saying, if we're gonna pave it,
Yeah, but Freiburg
why
is
are,
paved.
why are we gonna snowmobile on it?
Because Freiburg has the same thing.
Right?
And they can only snowmobile when it's a certain depth of snow.
Oh, I understand that, cause you don't wanna destroy a trail.
Right.
But if you're gonna have a trail, are you gonna have your handicap person walking on, going down the road? No, I'm saying something, please. Are you gonna have the handicap person to go down the side of the road in their wheelchair because there's snow on a paved walking path? No.
Mixed use.
I've done maintenance on the trail. I work for Freiburg. We spent 2 days a year cutting brush, blowing the whole thing off, and weed whacking. 2 days a year, it's always been. Every once in a while, you get a fence post you gotta replace, but that's about it. Snowmobile's not gonna run on the asphalt when it gets to asphalt, because you're gonna just tear up the sleds.
Right.
So that's really not a problem at all. Road crossings, absolutely, no matter where you go, the sleds with picks do tear up the asphalt. if you go down the road, you'll see the road crossing, and you'll actually feel a little dip in some places where it's been 10 years or so that it's gone, you know? All in all, the impact is next to nothing as far as I've seen.
Yeah. And a lot of, in the towns that have more rail trail, in more difficult situations, like big drop-offs and things, they really have, recruited volunteers to help out, and they cross town lines. The Northern Trail in New Hampshire has 80 people on that volunteer list, and they span 51 miles. It's a trail maintenance weekend. They get a team of people and they go out and they do things. Why? Because it's their trail and they maintain it for whoever. I mean, mom and dad with a baby carriage, you know, people on scooters, being pedal scooters, or muscle powered bikes, walking, cross-country skiing, etc. You've had your hand up a couple times.
Yeah, no, I stand up, this chair's coming. Look, there's two ways of looking at everything. It's either an asset or a liability. It's a liability. It's another thing for the town to have to maintain. Now, it's there for a select group of people who want to use it. I've walked 300 miles of trail in this area in the last 5 years. There's trails everywhere. If it's such a good idea, why doesn't someone take it and build it and own it? The town is already looking at, correct me if I'm wrong, what's the school budget for our town, another 300,000 this year?
Oh, I don't know, it's
Yeah,
not
well,
decided
that's what I
yet,
thought
not
the number
decided
was.
yet.
We're looking at $1 million over the next 4 years just to keep up with the school budget. How much more can we keep adding on? How much, if we're gonna do this, then bring in the McDonald's, bring in the Dunkin' Donuts. We gotta develop this town. In the 12 years I've been here, no development has happened in this town. And all we do is keep spending the money and asking the taxpayers to pick up the tab for it. At some point, you've gotta bring in the business to support what you want. You don't buy the curtains before you build the house. And that's what we're doing. We keep spending money. Even the playground, as beautiful as it is, it's a liability, it's not an asset. Because from this point on, we have to maintain it.
who you ask.
Yeah, I'll have to disagree with you there.
Yeah,
And that's the point.
Yeah, this gentleman over here.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the rail trail is in Brownfield is the longest section of any section on the map?
No.
It's not.
No, Baldwin has the longest.
Okay, and
almost, it's like 12 miles.
okay, I thought Brownfields was longer than 7.5. Does it not have the most water crossings and bridges?
I can't answer that. I haven't counted them one by one, but we can do that. I get an answer to that. Yeah.
Why are we choosing asphalt instead of gravel?
There's a variety of reasons that there's two schools of, well, actually multiple schools of thought on this one. The asphalt is cleaner, it lasts longer, some people would argue, than the stone dust. If you're on a stone dust trail Andrew's been on some trails that are 30, 40 miles and beyond, at the end of the day, you can end up pretty dusty in the summer. So there's some convenience factors. The asphalt, I'll tell you right off, is a little more expensive than the stone dust. So it's on a maintenance, it's on a cost basis, and it's on the experience basis. Why?
No, I'll add to that, our reason, we're currently planning on having it paved is because that was part of the recommendations from the Rail Use Advisory Council. Itself, and the conversations there and the language that went into the process of authorization of it, DOT isn't necessarily, forcing it to be paved, other than that was kind of what was in the process. We do participate in both, paved and crushed stone.
Stone dust would be maintenance for every year.
Yeah, there is a little bit more maintenance. Pros and cons. They drain differently. Yeah.
Just a question, I don't know if I missed it when I took a bathroom break when you guys started this discussion. The biggest liability I see with this whole thing is what do you do in a situation crossing 113 and 5 up at the Freiburg end, not affiliated with Brownfield so much, but what can we do there? And I'm all for it, but what do we do there? I mean, is anybody gonna make it across the road?
Yeah, that is probably honestly our toughest conversation as we working on design of this, is the safe crossings on those.
I did hear you say lights and stuff, you do have access to that stuff. Is the state able to lower even, not that it would matter, but lower the speed limit just through that section?
I think we're open to trying to look at some speed management things that probably mean also changing a little bit of the characteristic of the road. If it looks like the same, last 10 miles you were going 55 or 60 on, like we need to change its look, change its feel a little bit, kind of reinforce that behavior change when it comes to speed. So we're thinking about that. We're thinking about flashing beacons and some other things.
Yeah, we've got the flashing beacons in Wyndham, and it's made a huge difference. I, somewhat with more bravado than brains, walked up to it when I saw an RV coming down the road at 30 miles an hour, hit the lights, I started to walk out. That's what the gutsy thing, he came to a stop. Not with a shaking fist or whatever, he came to a stop.
Somebody put I-95 signs out there, and I don't know where, no, I'm kidding.
Got a question?
Yeah, as far as the pavement and walking dogs, even on that Freiburg section, you can't walk a dog on that section in Freiburg during the day, in the middle of the day, because it's so stinking hot, the dog's paws will burn, people cannot walk their dogs. And if it's gonna be like that here, you're not gonna get people doing it here either. It's way too hot, you burn the dog's paws, and people are too hot, they can only walk a mile, turn around, half a mile, turn around, and go back. I've heard those complaints, since I've been here for 4 years. It's just too hot for people to walk and dogs to walk on that portion.
Because I see them walking on the pavement in Wyndham all the time.
Well, I have dogs.
Yeah.
I run a kennel. It's too hot to walk. You're endangering your dogs.
Yeah.
Later in the
I hear
day,
you.
later in the day, come on.
Yeah.
I think that.
I wanted to, I understand there was something posted on Facebook today, Dakota, that said of this $12 million that's going to be spent on building the trail, that the federal government is going to pay for 80% of it, the state for 10%, and that towns are responsible for 10%, which would mean Brownfield will be responsible for $600,000. I don't think any of that is true, but I just wanted you to confirm.
I would say not all of that is true. So actually, we're closer to $10 million right now. That doesn't mean it won't go up or down as we finalize this. You're right about the federal funding. This is currently funded with federal transportation funds. Most of those programs are 80% federal funding and then 20% non-federal. So right now, Maine DOT is fully matching that federal funding, so we're providing 20% against that 80%. In this case, we're not seeking construction funds from any other local partners or philanthropy or anything else. It's 80 federal, 30 Maine DOT, and 20 state.
Okay. And I just wanted to mention the idea that the trail is only for a select few, I think is inaccurate information. There's an article over here about one group who uses the trail called the Portland Wheelers, and there are people who go out on the trail in wheelchairs with the assistance of others with specially designed equipment who take them out on the trail, and the only way they can do that is with a paved trail that's flat, that they can actually get out on and enjoy. And we've seen people, not just bikers, people walking, jogging, cross-country skiers, snowmobilers. There's all kinds of people who get out and use the trail, and it's just a healthy, safe thing to do. There's no safe place to ride a bike in Brownfield right now. There's no road that is safe to ride your bike on. So if you're a bike rider, or someone who just likes to get out and walk on the road, this would be a safe place to do it.
Yeah, we heard this too in the various interest focus group kind of conversations we had in some of the towns. Almost all of them, one of the things that was raised is that the safe place to ride. And it comes out in a lot of forms, but one of them is I want to teach my kid how to ride a bike. And I don't want to do it in a Haddiford parking lot or, on the road. And this is a safe place to bring young kids. Yeah.
Could we have paid parking at these parking lots to help pay for this trail and maintain this trail? Make the people coming in from Portland that want to use it at least pay for the parking to help maintain the trail.
That's very creative. Yeah, check it out.
It is really common in Fred kiosks to have a donation type of thing. Most trails do have a nonprofit partner. Obviously, Friends of the Mountain Division has been around for a while. It's common to have Fred kiosks that have an avenue for donation.
We're not going anyplace. We were formed in 1993, so we're going to be around. Yeah.
And you're taking the tracks out in Brownfield?
I'm sorry?
we're taking the tracks out in Brownfield?
Yeah. Yeah, so let me explain a little bit more about that. If you build a trail next to the rail, which is what happened in Wyndham, Gorham, and Standish, the trail tends to erode faster because it doesn't have a sound bedding. And often they had to put in a lot of fill in order to build it up to be far enough away from the railroad, 10 to 15 feet, depending whether they have a fence or not. And that erodes faster. If you take the rail up and you take the ties up, you've got big chunks of ballast there that naturally drain, and then you're building the trail on top of that. It's a far more stable kind of trail, number one. Number two, the maintenance on it, unlike in Freiburg and in Wyndham, Gorham, and Standish, the brush doesn't come right up to the edge of the trail. There's an apron on either side of about 10 feet. And so you're mowing grass, not taking down bushes and trees. It's a huge difference.
Plus just the cost of construction.
Yeah.
When, you know, all of the bridge crossings that Dakota mentioned, to try to build additional bridges to have the trail go alongside the rail, it was, I think, the Rail Use Advisory Council at that time, it would have cost 7 times more to build that kind of a trail. Yep.
So what happens with the rail? Are they just taking it and setting it off to the side?
No, sir, no, sir. The ties have to be disposed of as if they're hazardous waste.
So
All of the rail infrastructure will be removed, other than the bridges and culverts and things. If there are any rail signals in there, those will probably be removed as well. And the rails and ties will be disposed of. And the rails on this corridor, probably the department will salvage and put any revenue from that back into the rail program. The rail itself here, the weight of that rail is lower than we use now, kind of in modern times, so we wouldn't want to reuse it on our other active lines. We have a couple other corridors where they have a heavier weight rail. In that case, we might take that rail and actually ship it north or ship it somewhere to be used on an active state corridor, just, kind of get incorporated into the state rail program, they would use it.
Andy?
I think this is gonna be a great benefit to the community in the long term. If you take a long view, the town is gonna grow around this trail. It's gonna invite people that might not otherwise come here, people that spend money. Brad and I and another guy spent 3 or 4 days up in the Lamoille Valley. We spent a lot of money. And the people that we talked to confirmed what seemed apparent to me was the trail revitalized their communities. That's what people are telling us. So that's my 2 cents.
The towns in Vermont are paying to build spurs from their downtown to the rail.
Right.
They're building off ramps from the highway. They call it the artery.
It's a gift from the state to the communities.
$12 million potentially, yeah.
If someone offered to give you a brand new car with a stipulation, you just have to change the oil every 7,000 miles.
Wasn't
Oh,
Vermont
yeah,
just bankrupt?
because it's gonna benefit, and I mean, everyone is gonna benefit either directly or indirectly in the long term. I think it's kind of short-sighted to discount that.
Well, and another frame for that is, in business, I worked in finance, a bunch of other areas, when you see an expense, the only thing you think of is how you cut it. If you look at it as an asset, then you try and get as much out of it as you can. And I think this trail is an asset, and yes, there is some expense associated with keeping it running. There's a question over here.
We need housing.
Nina do
We need
Does
some
it,
housing.
does it eliminate the right for a train to be reused if you're pulling it up?
Nope, that was the whole intent of that Rail Use Advisory Council process, and that determination for this being an interim trail. So if there's viable rail, that reverts back to rail use, so we would turn it back into an active rail line if that was the case.
And from the get-go, when you're making that cost-benefit analysis, you're looking at a railroad. Constructing the railroad on this, just a railroad on this, is 4 times as expensive as building the trail.
Okay.
So it's a lot higher bar to clear. You gotta make the economic argument, which is part of the reason why it wasn't done for 20+ years.
Yeah.
It was analyzed many times, couldn't make the economic case. Yeah.
We just had a project in town with the culvert, $280,000.
Wow.
And town paid $28,000. My question is for Nicole, why is that any different than the way the money's laid out now?
As far as the trail construction
Yeah,
doesn't have a local
with
share.
that 10%.
Yes, completely different programs and funding sources. That's mainly why, is different streams of funding are involved in the culvert project with fish passage and this project.
Okay. I know it's different, but is there any way that, because I understand that most projects like that in the state with DOT are 10-85.
Right.
So, would that, I mean, would it behoove the town to kind of clarify that, or just clarify it right off the bat?
Yeah, I mean, we're already more than halfway through design, and we don't have an agreement for local match. We're in this kind of design construction phase, fully with the federal and state funds.
So we're talking about maintenance versus big capital expenditures, when you get it
Well,
built.
it's up to $12 million, if for some reason, the town gets stuck with 10% of it.
Yeah. No, that's not.
That not prepared for it, and it's a
Something
big,
hit. Yeah, something we didn't mention today, is kind of like interlocal partnership between municipalities. That's how the groups on the Kennebec River Rail Trail are doing it. So they have an interlocal agreement, which essentially is combining some forces between the different municipalities along the way, and they share that responsibility. So that might help kind of, it's like consumption smoothing, like insurance. If one town has a bunch of miles and another town has a little bit of miles, and so on, different towns, if they've all band together and, do like some kind of interlocal agreement or other entity, they can share that, so that, if one town has a lot of people but only 1 mile, and a lot of, another town has less people and a lot of miles, that type of arrangement can be shared. And that's more of a municipal decision, not something that Maine DOT would, again, force towns to have agreements with each other, but there is precedent for that in Maine.
But just to be clear about it, in that type of structure, the individual towns still pay a membership fee. You don't evade the cost. You may be more balanced, but you're still paying into the kitty. It's just a question of how it's distributed and what town gets the work done, who's got the most need, that kind of thing. The grass still needs to be mowed. Somebody's gotta pay for it. It's just a different mechanism where, as I was saying before, the brand of the trail is now carried responsibility for it by a number of towns. Proximal towns typically. The Eastern Trail is organized that way as well. And they've got a dozen or so towns.
I do have some business cards in my pocket, I believe, so folks are welcome to come up and ask for a card and have more questions, email me, give me a call later on, that's fine. And same with folks on the select board, I know it's taken a lot of your time today, we don't need any decisions or anything.
Yeah.
Rick, can I ask you a question? Will this go up for vote in the town, just like the transfer station truck we wanted to buy? Does this go to the public for vote?
Which part?
Whether we spend the money to
We don't
do this
own
or
the
not?
trail, the state does.
Huh?
We don't own the trail, the state does.
The state's gonna do what they want.
The town is gonna have to spend some money to do it.
They always do.
Anything that comes to money has to go to them. We have to raise and appropriate the money. It's gotta go to them.
That's all I'm asking.
We don't have a choice.
And any agreement we have with the town would not have, it wouldn't say an amount, it would just say the town agrees to help maintain.
Which costs money though, nothing's free
Yes,
in this world.
but it would be up to, local folks, the town, clubs and such to determine what does that mean on an annual basis and things like that. Freiburg, there's an example here nearby,
Bad example.
Feel free to reach out to Freiburg, I know they have their own experience with the project that
I walked on it, I went to go ride my bikes with my children, because it's mud season, we live on a dirt road. So we rode our bikes from my ex's house, 4 children, 3 blocks, to a trail that was covered with snow. And the fence posts, you say, okay, you need to place 10 a year. I counted 50. You know how much it is to replace a cedar post?
Ain't
On
cheap,
a
brother.
trail that's supposed to be for a train. If you put water on that train and you ship it towards Gorham, they're gonna save the cost and expense of redoing 113 again? If we put trash on that train and we ship it to our town and we burn it in our town, we will pay for our property taxes and dumping fees.
We ain't burning trash.
They do it all over. You
I
gonna
know
dump
they
it
do
in
it
the
all
ocean?
over, but we're not burning
Let's
trash.
dump it in the ocean.
You gotta
Put a
build an
chip.
incinerator, buddy, you can't do
Put a
open
chip in
burns
your
anymore.
trash and find out where it goes.
Calm down. You guys all set?
Anything
You
else?
got
We
business?
are, the next step is for to be pour more meat on the bones. We have those 8, 10 different responsibilities, but turning that into some kind of agreement, that's not tomorrow. It's just coming in months ahead, to try and get that better articulated and potentially get closer to what the costs are gonna be for brownfield. Refine it. Instead of
And-
using examples, let's develop the model for you guys and see what it looks like.
And Dakota, you'll let us know about the public comment period?
Yes.
So that we can publicize that?
Always something, for something on
Yeah, it is. It is. But it's always this choice for you of the expenses that are just. Okay, all right.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Indeed. 7 years ago. All right, folks, we're gonna continue with the meeting. It's a correspondence folder. Nice to meet you. First off, we had articles, proposed articles dropped for the warrant. I'm just gonna cursory read these real quick. They've been turned into the attorney for legal review. We have a workshop. We have received from the town's attorney a review. We have a workshop, 5 o'clock. Thursday, 5 o'clock. I don't know if we'll probably be in this room, depends on how the painting goes next door.
He's told me today he's looking at probably being done maybe Monday.
Okay, so the meeting will happen here. And it's a workshop for the.
That's his proposed. If he gets done sooner, that'd be great.
Okay, I'm just gonna read them. We're not gonna discuss them tonight. I do have the attorney's review on done. See if the town would adopt a policy to live stream and record all select board workshops, select board meetings, and all committee meetings for those unable to attend in person to be uploaded to YouTube for future reference and saved at the town office. To see if the town will vote to require weekly selectmen meetings as there always has been in the past. To see if the town will vote to change from a three-person board of selectmen to a 5-person board of selectmen. 4, to see if the town will move towards the use of advertised sealed bid, auction, and/or request for quote process regarding large purchases, projects, and services above amount TBD, example 20K. To do so would take the burden off the town to find resources. The top 2 options decided by the selectmen or designated committee based on cost, quality, specs, etc., would be put up for vote during a town meeting following the bid process. Warrant Article 1A, since majority voting would be required for selected bids, whenever possible, pre-planned projects should be put out to bid and/or be voted on simultaneously, respectively, or at scheduled town meetings as articles to avoid burdening the town with the cost of additional town special meetings. 5, to see if the town will vote to cap spending at $10,000 without voter approval in non-emergency situations. Number 6, to see if the town will vote to make the rec director position 24 hours a week. And we have another one. To see if the town will vote to change the rec director position from being a hired position to an elected 3-year position. Municipal water testing policy. Have you gentlemen been able to review this?
Yeah, I did.
No. Cruise through that. This is establishing the water testing. 4 locations currently. Once the new fire station is built, it would include 5, and it would be for the yearly testing of those locations. Public Works, this building, the town office, which includes the substation and the transfer station. Next door, we did a radon mitigation system. We had done a test in 21, I believe, 20 or 21, and radon was pretty rough. So we hired a company, did the radon mitigation. Next door, which is also part of, out at the tennis courts, the water fountain. And we're looking to change the water fountain to some other type of fountain thing.
Oh, the yard hydrant?
Yeah, there you go, yard hydrant, that's what it's called. So, but it is part of the radon mitigation system, so.
And that was checked, last Thursday, I believe.
Yes.
To make sure it was functional properly.
Yes, that was inspected by the same company that put it in.
Who's this gonna be? Certified operator?
That's why we're doing contract.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a training.
Ooh.
That's the water. Hey, sorry.
You don't have to spell it.
It's probably already affected us all.
Smell the water.
It comes from Denmark, I swear.
All right to me.
So I'll make a motion to accept this municipal water testing policy effective immediately. All in favor? Perfect. We received an email in regards to the Dunn Memorial Park, and it was, again, the town's intention is to renovate the park and replace the playground. We already went through this. We removed ourselves from that program because there were no, it was, in order to get a grant, you have to be part of that program. But the grants take upwards of 2 years, so we opted out of that. So I'm kind of surprised he sent us another request because we're not opted in for that. So, yeah, April 9th, we did an obsolescence request, so. Isn't Catherine, isn't she the one that came down and looked?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. So they're already on the hook to come down in what, July, and inspect anyway? Yeah, so we should be good. Yeah, we should be good. There was an effective date correction on the accessibility policy for the town of Brownfield, which is the ADA. On the signature page, it said December 16th of 26. We didn't catch it, it's now stated December 16th, 2025. I make a motion to accept the changes as written.
Second.
All in favor? You guys just do that. Oh, no, this was the accessibility policy. Part of the accessibility ADA is ADA training for this policy. ADA training will be organized annually by the ADA liaison. It is a mandatory training event, will be completed by the following employees of the town of Brownfield: town hall, office staff, treasurer, clerk, deputy clerk, admin assistant, planning board secretary and CEO, fire department chief, assistant chief, and deputy, Public Works Director and Public Works employees, Transfer Station Manager and attendants, ACO, Rec Director, Health and Safety Officer.
I don't know.
Two signatures. I don't know if she's gonna go to the policy part. Have you guys been able to review the building and room accessibility and access control policy?
I have not seen that one, no.
Okay. So, purpose of this policy is to ensure secure, consistent, and equitable access to all town-owned buildings and designated rooms. This policy establishes procedures for storing, managing, and granting access to building entry codes. Scope, this policy applies to all town-owned buildings, facilities, and secured rooms that utilize KeyBad or coded entry systems. It covers all town employees, elected officials, contractors, and authorized service providers who require access to these spaces. Storage of access codes. All building and room access codes will be securely stored in the town vault. Codes will be documented, updated, and maintained by the municipal office staff. Authorized access to codes. Access to building and room codes will be granted only the following individuals or roles: Public Works, Fire Department, Chief, Select Board members, Administrative Assistant, Town Treasurer, Town Clerk, and the town's contracted security company. These individuals may access codes solely for the purpose of performing their additional duties. Code distribution and use. Codes may only be distributed by the Select Board of the municipal office staff. Individuals receiving codes must use them responsibly and only for town-related business. Codes may not be shared with unauthorized persons under any circumstances. Code updates and security. Building and room codes will be reviewed at least annually or more frequently if personnel changes occur, security concern is identified, a breach or suspected breach of access control occurs. When codes are changed, all authorized individuals will be notified. Responsibilities. Authorized personnel use access codes only for official purposes, maintains confidentiality of all codes, reports any suspected misuse or security concerns immediately. Security company uses access codes solely for contracted security functions, follows all confidentiality and access control requirements outlined in this policy. Enforcement. Failure to comply with this policy may result in revocation of access privileges, disciplinary action in accordance with town personnel policies, contract review or termination for external service providers. This policy will be reviewed by the Select Board at least every 2 years or sooner if operational needs or security considerations require updates. I make a motion to accept.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Very cut and dry.
There's been a change to the authorized list for MMA. The interim rec director was added. Make a motion to accept this. It's the MMA contact.
Second.
Authorized list for MMA. All in favor?
Yeah.
This is the gym piece of equipment that needs to be replaced for $449.99. Something multifunction steel home gym 50 weight something machine. It's kind of cut off, so I don't know.
Yeah, they need one.
Oh, here we go. Marcy 150 pound multifunctional home gym station for total body training. MWM 989. $449.99. Make a motion to expend it out of the
taking the money, right?
yeah, the gym line.
Yeah, second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Sign that. Okay, I'll do those. Okay. That. So I'm gonna put this is the, we have minutes of trails.
Mhm.
from-
Yeah, thank you.
I'm pretty sure she got a file for that.
I think so.
Nothing to do with that at all. So. Upcoming events, well, 7:00, 45 minutes ago, the planning board workshop started next door, Pam's office. Thursday at 5, it'll be at the community center for the warrant articles workshop. Next Tuesday, town office open from 7 AM to 9 AM, closed 10. For the rest of the day, mandatory safety training. And that's next Tuesday. That's when that inspector lady's coming, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, ergonomics or whatever it was. Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Sweet. That takes care of that. I want to find out about this. Anything?
No. Yep.
All set. Floor's open. Mr. Cobbett?
Following up on my home complaint for last September on selective ordinance enforcing.
Yep.
And I've emailed you multiple times, no response, I'm just trying to figure out why.
Okay, I'll respond. I will apologize, I didn't respond to the very last one, but the one prior to that.
Multiple, Rick, though. It's
No,
been
well, let me finish.
Okay.
The very last email that I received, yes, I did, I was gonna respond to you. I've been extremely busy, my apologies. So I'm gonna respond to you now. The previous email, I will say that you were pretty upset.
Yep.
And I asked if you would come to a meeting, and you declined it, stating, hang on,
Okay.
I've got the email.
I do too, yeah.
You declined it, you were busy, your kids, I get it, you're taking care of your family. And you also stated in there that there was nothing else left to say. So, okay, I offered to have a meeting with the select board, and you declined, and stated there was nothing left to say. So, what kind of response would you want me to give to that?
Let me respond to that, Rick. When you asked me for another meeting, which we already previously had a private meeting between you, myself, and Mike, the CEO. Okay, what was said in that meeting was not getting done after I waited 3 months to check in with you. And after you asked me about having another meeting, I responded to you asking you what good it would do. As we've already further discussed we've already discussed everything in great detail. You never responded to that question.
Well, when you
And
put
I asked it to you multiple times.
when you put it in your email that you have nothing to say.
No, hold on. That was not even to do with you. Mike and I were having an email conversation back and forth. I said to Mike, there was nothing else left to say. Okay, he took it, so, no, that's the thing. You're only telling part of the story. I have all the emails as well, Rick.
No problem.
And okay, hold on. Not only that, but I brought it to the fire chief's attention, okay? I've showed him photos, videos of fire safety issues. He went to the CEO, he's been to you. You told him to stay right out of it and to direct everything to you. That's the response I got, that's the response I got from him, and that's a fire safety issue.
I did what?
You told him to direct, for me to direct everything to you.
Everything go to you with these complaints.
For the ordinance, for the camper ordinance,
The camper
correct?
ordinance, yes.
Okay, I wanna make sure that's clear.
Sure, yeah.
Camper ordinance,
Camper ordinance,
yes,
yes.
the
Yes.
ordinance with camper only.
Sure.
All right.
But if it's a fire safety issue, shouldn't he be involved?
Well, when it comes right down, he is not the enforcement of the ordinance.
Okay.
So, there's no difference with his involvement with the Airbnb. He does not enforce anything with Airbnb. However, he's the fire chief, and there are requirements in there for fire safety, are there not, chief?
Correct.
Correct. So, you're right. He is not the code enforcement.
Sure.
Now, I appreciate that there is a request for the ordinance enforcement. Like in our conversation, the fiscal responsibility is, I think, falling on deaf ears. Because once we put out a 30-day notice through code enforcement, we wait, then there's a 60-day, and then there's a 90-day. And after the 90-day, we have to refer it to the attorney who has to litigate it, okay? So there were violations that were sent out. I wanna say that we got to, 11, I believe. I've only got a code enforcement officer a day and a couple hours a week. So my apologies that the forward progress didn't meet your demand of town-wide. But I have to look at this fiscally of how much money we can expend, because it's $265 an hour for an attorney. $265 an hour.
Sure.
So if I have 10 violations, that's $2,650, and that's just for a letter. That doesn't mean any filing that goes to the courts, to the DA, or any of it. So, you know, I gotta look at it fiscally.
I understand that. I just don't, so how is it fair though to deny somebody else for a project they wanna do based on an ordinance while we drive down the roads of Brownfield and see violations everywhere due to ordinances? That's.
Did the planning board deny you? Did code enforcement deny you
Code
for something?
enforcement denied me.
Okay, I can't speak to that. I
Sure.
don't know what project is being.
Well, we've talked about it, Rick, but it doesn't matter, but I'm just
But,
saying. like-
but it does, because you're just saying that there was a pick and choose on what is enforced as far as an ordinance. Isn't it a lot split, that there's a legality to that? I just wanna make sure I understand, because if you wanna split a lot,
So you do remember my project?
I
first.
remember,
Okay,
I
you said-
remember you
just said
saying you
did,
wanted to
but
split the lot.
Okay, yeah,
There would be a building.
sure.
Okay, I don't care what the building is, none of my business.
Yep.
It's your property, do what you want with it. But I don't, as far as if you had the ability to split your lot, then why didn't you do it?
Because I can't, based on an ordinance.
Okay.
That's my point, is that you have a list of ordinances, they all should be enforced equally. That's my point.
Well.
I mean, we're sitting here
it's still-
looking at violations all through the town. Been going on for years.
And so what is your request, that we blanket the town?
Well, I've asked you multiple times in emails to tell me what you guys are doing to, moving forward.
And it
I
was-
get zero response from you.
Well, not exactly,
Rick,
because.
I've got at least 4 or 5 emails with no response from you. I'd be glad to pull them up and bring them in and show them to you.
Yep, I've got them.
I do too.
So, I do know that you were told that on the outside of the code enforcement's door, they were posted to the right-hand side of the door, the violations, the count, and the month.
Yeah.
That didn't suffice? That you could pop in, see
No,
that?
I popped in to see Mike, okay? His answer to me was, I sent out letters, some people just leave them on my desk and I'm not accepting. I go, Mike, there must be a legal way to give them a certified letter. The answers I'm getting are just like shrugging it off.
No.
Yes, it is.
No, I disagree.
Okay.
When somebody comes in, they receive a notice of violation, and they walk into the town office, and they throw it on your desk and say, you know, that 30-day notification, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not accepting it. They just returned it to the town.
Sure.
So then we send out a 60-day notification, and they do the same thing, and then it comes down to litigation.
Sure.
Well, litigation costs a lot of money.
It takes time.
Yeah.
I
A
understand.
lot of time.
I mean, just a prime example, you wanna talk about ordinances, and you wanna talk about the legalities when it comes to properties. We've been waiting a year from the attorney's office, actually, April, first week of April. We've been waiting a year for title searches, okay? We can't rush the attorneys, they're the ones that handle the legal business. So we can call, we've contacted a few times, hey, you got anywhere with this? So this isn't just us doing something. We still have to wait. I'm pretty sure Ben McCall has 2 that he is putting together that have been going on for 2 years. And it's $265 an hour. And it's gonna come to litigation because they're not coming into compliance.
Sure.
So, just an FYI for everybody, $52,355 on legal fees. That's fiscal year 25, okay? So, well, raised and appropriated 35,000.
Here's a question for you. So, okay, back to ordinances, okay, so, at our last town meeting last year, okay, the CEO gets a 20% raise because of an add short-term rental ordinance, okay? So we're adding more and paying more when we have ordinances that aren't even being enforced already in town. Does that make any sense?
No.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me.
There wasn't just the short-term rental ordinance that justifies that. Chief, did he not take over E911 and all the duties that go with that? Well, people don't work for free.
I understand that.
So, you
But
know.
when we're adding
it
more
is.
ordinances, we can't take other ones we already have, that doesn't make any sense. I mean,
Well,
does it?
then we need to have more time that we have a code enforcement here, which again is gonna cost more money. So, you know, which way you guys wanna go with it, it doesn't matter to
Less
me.
ordinances.
Yeah.
Well, and again, but less
More freedom.
ordinances, you're the majority.
Well,
You can do that.
You can get a petition going and get an article and have the lot size change. That's how we ended up with 2-acre lots. It's because somebody petitioned the town to get them dropped to that size. If you need a smaller lot, petition, get it. I'm sure a lot of people would sign a petition to change their minimum lot size in the village.
Can I?
Have you tried?
I haven't.
Can I answer her question first?
Absolutely.
Petition article, yes, ma'am. I will ask, I think, what is it, Greg M? Leah's on vacation starting tomorrow. She's who I had look at the articles that were already dropped off. I'll ask that question. There has to be public hearings and the vote. So that's where the time comes in. With town meeting, I'd have to have those articles, no later, 90 days, we just talked to.
90 days, yeah.
I gotta have the articles 90 days prior to do changes like that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Let me ask again, Greg M., I'll get his email, ask the question, but ordinances have to have a public hearing, whereas the town warrant does not require that. Ordinance changes you do have to have a public hearing. And I don't have enough time to do a public hearing for that vote now. So, but you want ordinances changed, or ordinances, rescinded, you're the majority.
Yeah.
Do the petition.
Yeah.
We'll get it, checked by the town clerk, get it to the attorney to make sure that the article is legal. If you're gonna do an article like that for a petition, bring it to us. We'll get it to the town's attorney. You can have the full response. It's to make sure, like what happened in the past, and I'm sure if you ask Vinnie Lanavera, one of his articles in his petition, he only had to add 3 words to that article to make it constitutional, but he didn't have it reviewed. He got a lot of signatures on it, like 2 pages worth, and it was unconstitutional, so we had to tell him no. Bring us the article. We'll get it to the town's attorney, get the review done, give you the information, and then run your petitions. We'll route them up. I mean, we have to.
Do a petition, or can we just give you the article?
No, that will take petition, only because it's gonna require a public hearing process. So bring us the petition and we can do that. Which could actually work out to everybody's benefit, because one of the things that we have been discussing for like the last year is a ordinance review. There are statutes and things that change over time that an ordinance has been enacted in Brownfield that doesn't get legal review for like a decade. Well, a rule could change, a statute could change, and now there is no enforcement because of that change. And it adds to our legal fee, because how do we enforce it when a statute changed 2 or 3 years prior to that? And it changes that. So if we have less ordinances, it's less money we're gonna have to spend as taxpayers for the legal review with statute changes. So please, do the petitions. It would be awesome. Yes, sir.
So if I wanted to do a change in the dog ordinance, I would need a petition for that?
Yes, it's an ordinance. I have to have a public hearing. I have to.
Okay, so like, how many petitions, signatures and whatnot do you have to have?
You would have to get with the town clerk, for that. Yeah, I don't know.
And you
It's a
said-
percentage of the last gubernatorial race or something like that.
10%.
10%, yeah.
You said it's too late for this year?
It is for the town meeting. Always remember, folks, every year, November is a primary, whether it's state or federal, there's always a vote in November. We can piggyback on that because I already have the ballot clerks in place and I'm being paid. So I don't have to do a special town meeting, which is about $2,500. If we're gonna do it, November would be good. We also, March, April timeframe, there is a, like every other year, every third year, there's a state deal going on, like a primary or something to that effect. Bond, 4 years ago, there was a bond issue that was voted in April. So we could do that, and again, we're piggybacking off of a state or federal thing where we already have ballot clerks here. So it's not, we're not expending any more
What do you need for special wording for this to take place?
Whatever your article is for your petition, just get it to us, we'll get it routed to legal. And they'll make that determination, constitutional and statutory, it's met those requirements, and then we can move on.
Routed to legal before signatures, right?
I would recommend it, yes, because like I said with Vinnie Lanavera, he brought it in and Hetty just brought it to us and we routed it to legal. It was literally adding like 3 words to that article and it'd have been perfectly fine, but we had to deny it.
So question for you, say somebody puts an article and it gets voted in by the town, right?
Yep.
What good does it do though if you're not gonna use the legal fees to enforce it?
Well, if you just asked me about having a petition to remove.
No, I'm not saying that, but you said you can also add them, you can take them away, you can petition or
Add.
whatever. But I'm saying if somebody petitioned to make an ordinance stronger, and it gets voted in, are you
Yep.
gonna use the legal fees? Because you're basically telling me that you're not gonna.
Well,
do
we
it.
don't have a choice.
But you do, because you're not doing it, you're not using the legal fees.
No, I disagree. No, I do, I disagree. It's just not in the time frame that you believe
No, Rick,
is feasible.
Rick, I was very, very patient with all
No,
this,
so
and I
4
understand-
months.
No, hold
You're
on.
expecting 4, let's
No,
just
I
say
wasn't.
6
No, I
months.
was not expecting that. I checked in at the 4-month
Yeah.
period, Rick, okay? And then I get no response from it, okay? And the stuff we discussed at our meeting between me, you, and the CEO wasn't happening. You know, you.
11 violations?
No, hold on. You sat there with me at the meeting, okay? And this was after we discussed the fact of the CEO throwing how I voted at the last town meeting in my face, okay? Which is pretty low, I think, but
Yeah,
anyway,
but-
this was after that. No, hold on. So there might be some.
He did
agenda
officially
there.
apologize.
He did, and I appreciate that.
He shook his hand.
No, and I appreciate that. And our meeting went well, I'm not denying that. But then after I left, what you had discussed it there, like you asked Mike, you said, Mike, did you not, Rick?
Yep.
I'm asking you asked Mike, can you give me an extra half a day a week to get on top of this problem we have in Brownfield?
Yep.
And he agreed, didn't he?
He came back and declined because he was already busy with his other
No,
jobs.
he agreed at that meeting.
At the meeting, but he
Okay.
came back. You gotta
Okay.
remember, I have to have an agreement with that employee because he is a stipend employee.
I
His
understand.
contract.
Yep, so, but at our meeting, that was my
Yep.
interpretation.
Yep.
Okay? So when I reached back out 4 months later, that wasn't getting done.
I didn't get the extra half a day. He
I
declined that
understand
extra
that,
half
I
a day.
understand that, but nobody explained that to me. All Mike said was, nope, I'm not gonna do no extra work towards it. When I left that meeting with you two, that's what I was under the assumption of, as anybody would be.
Yeah, but what do you want me to do?
No, I'm not
Try-
saying that.
Try to force them to work another half
I
a day?
didn't say that, I'm not saying
But-
that, but what I'm saying,
Well,
I'm
what's the
bringing up a point.
expectation?
What I'm saying is that what you guys told me wasn't happening.
But what's your expectation?
I was just trying to see forward progress. I was asking us for updates. I've asked you specific questions to like, are you going to the planning board to change the ordinance to make it
I
stronger?
can't go to a planning board and change
I
ordinances.
didn't say change it, but you can work on it to make it stronger and put it
No.
to the vote, right?
No,
Well, that's what Mike said he was doing.
no, Mike can go to the planning board and talk to them about the enforcement part of it and ask for the planning board to make appropriate changes
Right.
to put forth to the taxpayers.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Have you asked the
I-
planning board?
I asked if that was being done. Nobody would answer me.
Have you asked the planning board?
I asked the planning board actually
And
today.
Ms. Pam, as
I
far
didn't-
as I know right now, the planning board is working on, the zoning. There was something else being rewritten. There was something else being rewritten. They just got it from Ben McCall. I didn't get to talk to Sonia 2 weeks ago. But have you been to the planning board to ask to have
I did ask
revisions
the planning
done?
board today actually about it, and they said there was nothing in the works for that.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Well, I can't force the planning board.
I'm not saying that you can, but I'm saying this is what Mike had told me, and I'm just following up to see if anything was getting done.
I can't force the
And-
planning
and
board.
the bottom line, Rick, I mean, 0 responses after multiple emails from you, like, that's not very professional. You always
Okay.
say at all your meetings, you're like, email me, text me, call me, stop by my shop. These are your words at every meeting.
I agree.
You know, I have to specifically come to a meeting just to get any sort of answer, and it's still just runaround.
Okay. Well, I apologize to you for not responding to the last email. I will revert back to you had nothing left to say. You declined having a meeting with us.
I did not decline, Rick. I asked you what good it would do.
Did you?
And we've
Okay.
already discussed it in
So
great
why didn't you
detail.
just accept in that email that you would meet with the select board?
I would have. I asked you what good it would do, as we already had a meeting previously.
All right.
That's different than this.
Yes, sir.
Rick, now you said the town attorney has reviewed the information. Could I get that in the statement from the attorney that
What
reviewed
information?
that?
What information?
That packet of information I sent you
For what?
on the dogs.
Yeah.
Okay, could I get that from the town's attorney, the dollar amount that was charged, when it was looked at, and their signatures stating that?
You're probably not gonna get a signature on that.
Why is that?
Well, I can ask. That's all I can do is ask.
Because that's just verifying.
Yeah, that's all I can do is ask.
Well,
I'll ask.
why wouldn't they, sign something that they said they had done?
Again, all I can do is ask. I'm not gonna answer their question
All right, could
to
you
you.
send me something stating that they will do that? From the town's
I guess I'm
attorney?
confused. I'll ask them, and I will ask the question. You write that down?
Yeah, and have them send that to me.
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
That'll come to the town and it will be presented to you. Correct. No.
So I'm
The
not.
town's attorney will not be sending any documentations to a taxpayer. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to read a 4.5 minute statement.
Okay.
While hearing and reviewing documentation of Willie's employment disciplinary proceedings and the events that led up to it, I have identified 27 violations that present steep concerns of future litigation. Number 1, violation of due process. Number 2, retaliation for whistleblowing. Number 3, fail to provide relevant personnel file materials for March 9th executive meeting and other important requested documents that were needed for other various proceedings. This may be a violation of the Brady Rule. Number 4, intentionally sabotaging the Recreation Department by aiding and abetting copycat and community events performed by friends and volunteers and intentionally interfering with previously scheduled rec department events, thereby inhibiting job performance and violating anti-nepotism policy. You can refer to January 24th email for more information on that. Number 5, went through office and obtained sealed envelopes without his presence while out on FMLA. This is particularly concerning when being accused of mismanagement of funds. Number 6, authorized use of BCC warming center after reports of statutory violations and safety concerns. Number 7, failure to provide pertinent information regarding return to employment under intermittent FMLA leave. 8, defamation of character, wrongful termination, illegally posted job termination, altered state documents, asked to work during FMLA and then being terminated while on FMLA, rendering unfair disciplinary actions for another's responsibilities or actions, supplying disinformation and malinformation, pack behavior, hostile work environment, purposeful and intentional exclusion, harassment, collusion, taunting and intimidation tactics, broke own social media policy, prevented access to office and files while still employed, refused to allow to present proof of inaccuracies in his job termination and failure to record documented evidence. Failing to enforce regulations, policies, etc., equally for all employees that may be considered discriminatory, also known as failure to observe impartiality. Request for a public hearing and formal appeal was denied. A public hearing would disclose facts excluded and provide truth to false accusations against William Tracy. Using executive sessions to discuss unauthorized topics, proper noticing violations, including inadequate agenda description. This is not a conclusive list, but these are violations I was able to identify from his account of events dating back as far as 2023 and documented evidence I have reviewed. My concern is not whether, this is important, my concern is not whether Willie deserved or did not deserve to be terminated. My concern is rather that our Board of Selectmen and staff have violated many things that are likely to lead to litigation, evidence of poor management of the town. For that and other reasons, I made a post on Facebook requesting feedback about next step actions that could be taken, including requesting that the chair step down or potential recall. This was the 3rd time I saw various members of the community suggest a recall. This is a request to immediately reinstate Willie to his full-time rec director employee status tonight. Alternatively, abide by his request to open a formal public appeal and investigation into the termination of his employment and proceedings leading up to this decision. Both options are suggested in an attempt to prevent yet another lawsuit against the town and provide him with the opportunity to provide clear and convincing evidence in defense of his position and status with the town of Brownfield. Thank you.
Amen.
Per the attorney, Kathleen Wade, Leah Rach, and the only thing I can state is the only public document that is out there is a termination letter, and that's all I can say. The employment is privileged. Personnel is privileged.
But wait a minute. It's only privileged while they're an employee, correct?
Incorrect.
Incorrect, okay, thank you.
So, no, I will not step down. Get your petition.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
A recall is a major mistake. We went through one already in 2006, as BJ can elaborate on. Frank's.
Are you being intimidating?
Huh?
Are you being intimidating right now?
No, I'm not. No,
Okay,
I'm
just
not.
checking.
No, I am not, BJ. You're a troublemaker. Frank's wife, Alvina, instituted that recall. They recalled 3 veteran selectmen.
Town recalled them, not her. Let's get
No,
this straight.
they started it, Frank.
Yeah,
Don't,
well,
don't kid
evidently it's
yourself.
what they
They got
wanted.
the petition together. And
You're
you
getting a
know,
little
look at that
personal
petition
here.
today, which I have a copy of.
Uh-huh.
We should look at that and see if it's legal. But I think you're wrong on a recall, BJ. very wrong.
Hey, I'm just
It's
asking,
very
what do we do?
costly.
What do we do?
Why are you posting that crap on Facebook?
Don't
Seriously.
read it. Don't read it.
I haven't been until it was brought to my attention.
Point of order. I'm going to direct my answer to the chair, and I am going to say that I post things on Facebook because unfortunately we are silenced by this town as often as possible, and we are working real hard to continue to silence.
I disagree
And I am
with
not,
you.
okay, you're entitled to your opinion, as am I. Have a good one.
And you talk about the thing with Willie, BJ. Willie came to a meeting last week, which you were not present at the time we spoke.
This is not about Willie, this is about.
Wait, let me finish. A rumor. I think it started off as a rumor. And someone called Willie, a rec director that gave her notice or something. I don't remember the details of it. Was there any follow-up on that?
What does that have to do with this?
Oh, well, it's gonna get dicey if, if you're looking for answers, then I think the people need to get answers too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, is Willie willing to share that woman's name or that person's name that called him? Willie?
He doesn't have.
Are you the chair?
No, I'm not. But
The
Mr. Emery?
the question was presented from the audience. I'm not gonna direct anybody to answer anything.
Okay, all right, well, I guess
It's
we'll
not
do my
gonna
own
happen.
research.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'd like to speak on the termination letter that was released. The letter that was released to the public misrepresents actual findings of the meeting. It provides defamation of my character and false reporting, another form of retaliation. I was denied my right to due process by members of the staff, 2 members of the board, by intentionally not providing information that I requested in the weeks prior, including prudent information from my personnel file that directly related to the events of the meeting. In turn, I sent a letter to the board, to the administrative assistant requesting an appeal and due process because of the failure of due process, the intentional withholding, the retaliation from whistleblowing while I was on family medical leave, and for being fired while I was on family medical leave. The answer I got was there is no rebuttal, and I believe that the town is responsible for letting me provide facts to protect my character.
Thank you. I don't know what you want me to say, folks. This is a personnel issue, okay?
It's a personnel
And
issues.
there are legalities in place. I'm sure Brownfield has 30 attorneys somewhere. The only thing that I can say in regards to the personnel in this case is I can refer you to the termination letter, and that is it. I cannot talk about anything else. So,
You
it is
can't
what
have a
it
public
is.
hearing?
No, well, public hearing for what? There's no appeals, there is no appeals process in the personnel, policy in the town of Brownfield.
It's not a union show.
There is no, hang on, let me answer the question, I'll get to it. There is no, appeals process in the personnel policy. And you're more than welcome. The personnel policy has not changed since, I believe, 9/25/25. There was a question of that it had changed recently. It is not. We did not change. We are working on changes on the personnel policy because of legal review, but they have not been instituted. But there is no appeals process for that. So, yes.
This request to provide truth and evidence is exactly opposite of what the town has misrepresented me by releasing the termination letter publicly with my name and address. You have defamed me intentionally. And you are not giving me the opportunity to defend my character. I'm giving you the opportunity to open it up to the public.
I can't do that. Legally, I cannot do it.
There's a lot of things legally you didn't do.
Fine. Again, you know, folks, the termination letter is the only public document in this entire thing. That's it. That's why I have been directed by the town's attorney. When it comes to any questions, all I can say is to refer them to the termination letter. That's it. So I've done that. I can't do anything else. This is all legal protection, okay? I will not go against what the town's attorney tells me to do.
No.
So, yes, sir.
Those questions I asked you about being sent to me, would you have them sent to you and you show me a copy of that?
Yeah, that's just like we did before, Mr. Merrill. We provided you, I believe Alvina was as the administrative assistant then.
Yeah.
We received copies from her.
I never received those copies.
Not you did. You've gotten copies of documents from us, yes, sir, you have.
Ricky, I could not find those
They're-
documents she said that she sent me.
No. We actually handed you some in one meeting. You were handed some.
Well, at the end of it, but prior to that, I did not have those documents.
Which documents?
The ones you're talking about.
What? Could you be a little more specific?
Okay.
I mean,
Like I said, could you just get that in writing from the town's attorney? When they looked at that, the amount they billed the town.
Yeah,
And in this.
no problem.
Yep,
But
that's
now you're
all.
saying that I didn't give you documents. I got no
Just-
problem.
just
I'll
do-
send it.
just do
I'll send
that.
the question
Just-
to
just
the
do that.
attorney. That's no problem. As a matter of fact, we're in the process of getting, due to a FOA request, all of the monthly billings, legal billings. Yeah. I don't know what she called them. There was some kind of printout that she's giving us. So, yeah, I can provide those, no problem. Yeah, yes, sir.
I will also motion that the chair step down as the selectman, and anyone that would like to see findings from the truth, the select board and the administration lied to me and provided no due process for my executive meeting where I was terminated. They also terminated me under family medical leave and intentionally retaliated by releasing the letter the day after while I was at a medical appointment that they were aware of. Thank you.
Well, we make the motions, so, sorry.
And we, the people, decide.
Correct. You do. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I have something totally different. I don't know if we're done with this discussion or not.
You're next.
Just a couple things. Jen has talked to Backburner, and on Sundays from 4 to 6, voluntarily, they will be doing delivery takeout if anybody wants to order. Jen and I are the ones running it. They are doing a test run to see if this is gonna be viable and that they may eventually hire somebody to do deliveries. Only in Brownfield only, Brownfield residents only. The other thing is, we have, kids basketball on this Saturday from 4 to 6, I think it is. So the parent, it's a game of horse, so the parents will be playing the kids. We have Easter Sunday, dinner from 4 to 6 that we will be serving. We also have takeout orders. We're beginning to get RSVPs for orders. So that would be great if people would do that. I'm not saying we won't do the walk-ins, But the more we have for RSVP, we'll know exactly how much food we're gonna need. Easter back burner. Oh, we had a meeting last week with a person from Denmark, 2 people from Naples, and 1 from Waterford. They are interested in trying to start a pop-up warming center event in their towns. We are continuing to meet with them again next month in Bridgeton, and trying to help them get up and running with that. We gave them information that we had, we gave them the rules and regulations that we have been provided by. So they are working on trying to do the same thing in their towns, because they feel that their towns need it also. But only doing it as pop-up warming events. So, just letting you know that other towns are interested in trying to do something to help out their town folks, because when we were doing it here, we were helping out more in-town people than we were somebody else coming in. We had a lot of people that were coming, filling water containers and water bottles because they were either out of water or their wells were dry. So, we were helping out more in-town people than we were anything else.
Sweet. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to comment that I think I saw on the news that there may be a bill in place right now suggesting that every municipality in the state of Maine must have a warming center. So the warming center, we will be ahead of the game if we do this warming center correctly. And if these other areas erect them, we will be less likely to be overrun by people from neighboring towns. So I think that if it's done right, it's not a bad idea to do it, but I think we need to be very careful about what we're doing.
Did you by chance catch the legislation?
I didn't.
When it was?
I'll look in
I
my
saw it
notes.
on
It was
yeah.
on Channel 6 News though, that's where I heard it.
It was, okay.
Yeah.
Cause I just talked to Kim Pomelo, I don't know, a week or so ago.
Ask him about it, 'cause
There's
I
some of
swear I
this
heard
new
that.
stuff. They tabled a couple things, recently, so I'll get a hold of it.
If I see it in my notes, I'll look it up, cause I might have it in my file at work.
Yeah, I'll try to get a hold of Kim. They're in session right now, I might be able to do it this weekend. But I'd be interested
find
in
it out.
that legislation.
Oh, yeah.
So- Where did you get those? Anybody else? No? Okay. Main Office of Community Affairs Award Confirmation.
We do our own.
This is a community award confirmation for Community Resilience Partnership Community Action Grant. That's the CRC grant that we had talked about and had the meetings on for the mini splits for this building and the town hall. This letter is in regard to the program statement issued by the State of Maine Governor's Office of Policy, Innovation, and the Future for the Community Resilience Partnership Community Action Grant. The Maine Office of Community Affairs is pleased to confirm your award in the amount of $74,000. To accept this award and indicate your organization's good faith intention to satisfy the roles, deliverables, timelines, and outcomes set forth in the scope of work, sign below and return to MOCA, Maine Office of Community Affairs. So that is awesome. This is $74,000 of free grant money. There was no buy-in on this. And I believe they're working on the second round of this. I think there's an $800 buy-in for the second round. I may be wrong, because there's 3 grant processes that are happening right now. I get a little confused with the CRC and the other one.
So the $800 buy-in is to pay, this go-round to pay CB to write the grant for us.
And but it's a free grant. There's
Yes,
no
we
buy-in.
don't- there's
These
no-
are no buy-in
Application fee.
grants.
No match.
Can you do employee matches, like where they determine the value of your wage and then they count that as the value of the dollar that they want for the matching grant?
This grant has no match.
Oh, this one
They're
has
just
no
giving you $74,000, giving us $74,000 to do the work that needs to be done.
Right, but you just talked about $800.
That's for.
No, that's to
something-
do the paperwork.
The next round.
Like an application.
Oh, so you have to pay for it, you can't use it as like offset wages. Like I know some of our grants, if we sit there in the meeting, then they'll tally up all of our wages and that counts as the 50% match or whatever the match is. So you could do that instead of giving them cash. You could do the match with, for some grants, you can do the match with wages of employees who contributed to the process in some way.
This is no match.
That's why I brought that up, because
That'd
you
be
can
cool.
sometimes.
That'd be really sweet if we could, especially in the, like 20,000.
I know it
We'll just send the
works.
entire town office. Hey,
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Yeah.
For emergency management,
sorry.
grants and stuff.
You gonna look into that, chief? Emergency management grants?
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah, especially if we can send people an offset.
That's how I got a lot of my stuff, is through that. And I went after a generator for this place 3 times, but every time I started it, someone else got into it and said they were doing it, and I dropped it.
So,
3
Dickie,
times I got an emergency management, for the generator here.
so Dickie, I think we're looking at that for this next round of the, community resilience.
The emergency management grants that we have gone by the wayside, now it's a loan.
So this is
Really?
for the community resilience committee grant. We talked to them about a generator, and that's a possibility for the next go-round.
But that was
All the EMA grants went aside?
Huh?
All EMA grants or?
The ones that I run, the MPG grants, I used to write for it, and I got all of my stuff from it, which is 100%, is gone by the wayside.
So the gear we just got, that was grant, right? Didn't we just get some?
That's not through the MPG.
Oh, okay.
That's for fire, sorry. Okay, I got like 3 or 4 different sides I go, and, I got the MPG grants, I always write for, I could go for, they've gone by the wayside, they're calling them a loan now, and they're not.
Nice. Yeah, we don't need that. Yes, sir.
That's the way it goes.
Just a moment, on the, pop-up, warming center. There's a wealth of information available if you wanna read in regards to these much more big shelters that are okayed by the state and all that stuff. I read through it, and several places I came across reference mention of, a class in this, a class in that, that would be helpful, blah, blah. It so happens that 2 of those we have already on our schedule for these classes next Tuesday. They are also part of the training for townspeople.
Nice.
So I have asked these folks if they were at all interested, if they have the time to come by and sit in and gather up the information. It can only be helpful in the long run.
Did we extend the invitation to the surrounding towns for that Tuesday's
Yes,
training?
oh yes, yeah.
We had a good turnout last time. That was pretty good.
You know what else? The Tri-Cities and Rochester, Somersworth, and Dover are working as we speak. I think they're gonna be erecting another warming center. The 3 towns work together. The warming center is in one town, the other town pays into the other town, the other one. I don't know all the details. I have some detail on it, but not very much. But I would encourage you to, if that's ever something that you wanted to consider, like Denmark Fiber, Brownfield or something, call, Todd Marsh from Rochester, the city of Rochester, and ask him about that process, and he would be willing to, I'm sure, he's the president of the New Hampshire Local Welfare Association, so he might be willing to give you some pointers.
Can you forward that contact information to Michelle?
Todd Marsh, yep.
My concern goes back to the efficiency of the building. The fire chief or somebody must know how to access above the ceiling in this building, no? Do you? I just, well, is there just this ceiling in this building? Okay, and there's nothing
another
between
access
that-
in the closet.
There's nothing between that and the roof? Okay, so we're literally heating this building from, with no insulation in the roof.
I think there's insulation.
And it's no wonder it costs so much to heat.
Joe Egan.
Standard today
Joe
is
Egan's actually been up there.
R60 in a ceiling.
And they
That's
did
what
a-
a
they
new house
did their
is supposed to
standards.
have, and we probably got maybe 5.
I just
All
wanna-
I'm saying is, one of the reasons a lot of these buildings get torn down is because you can't bring them up to efficiency standards. We've spent a lot of money on the building this far, and you're gonna put some more money into the building. But if you don't bring the efficiency up and insulate it, it's a waste of money.
Yes, ma'am.
So Tom, part of that $74,000 is an energy audit of town buildings, so they'll be looking at things like that, and hopefully some of the things they recommend we'll be able to write into the next round of grants.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, sir?
One thing on the warming center, I would suggest the town get the building up to code, including heat, fire, and water, and other safety hazards before they open it again, so another employee doesn't report hazards.
I'm all set.
Good, tired.
I am. I'm old.
I'm all set down.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?